Greetings, everyone. This evening, we embark on a journey into a realm often overlooked by war documentaries and the pages of high school history books. Once upon a time, there was a world filled with flavors and aromas where every dish told a tale of its own. In particular, the sustenance of the trenches, the remarkable, raw, sometimes chilling sustenance that sustained countless soldiers just on the edge throughout World War I. Share in the comments where you're joining from and what time it is for you. It's truly captivating to witness the diverse souls who gather with us from every corner of the globe. Now, let us lower the lights, perhaps activate a fan to create a gentle, soothing hum, and prepare to embark on tonight's adventure together, not in the realm of trench cuisine. The British Army sought not the delights of the palate, but rather the bare essentials for survival, accompanied by a gentle twinge of discontent. Their standard rations unfolded like the opening lines of a chilling tale from the Victorian era. Rations of bully beef, the crunch of hardtack biscuits, and an unending supply of tea, tinged with a hint of EARTHIIESS. Let us embark on a journey. With bully beef, it was a curious concoction. Corned beef encased in a glistening layer of gelatinous fat, sealed tightly within tins that seemed to mock the very act of opening them, demanding either a bayonet, a sturdy rock, or perhaps a touch of divine intervention to unveil their contents. It bore the weight of remorse and the taste of a memory, perhaps once a piece of meat in a life long gone in the midst of chaos. Soldiers found sustenance in the unlikeliest of ways. They savored it cold, spread it generously on crackers, or fried it up when the flicker of a fire could be found amidst the relentless shelling. And so we come to the hardtack, endearingly known as toothbreakers or dog biscuits. These were sturdy, arid biscuits, resilient against water, the passage of time, and even the impact of small arms fire. Numerous soldiers immersed them in tea or soup, seeking to render them more palatable for chewing. Whispers echoed through the ages, claiming these artifacts were forged in the fires of the Boer War, only to be brought back to life in a new era. What you see there isn't humor. It's the art of organization at play. And now, to complete the experience, a warm cup of tea awaits, rich, dark, and bold enough to hold a spoon in place. It stood as the sole source of solace amidst the British ration. It was offered at every moment and in every circumstance. Before a battle, amidst a gas assault, after laying a comrade to rest. One officer asserted that tea had preserved more British lives than any bulletproof vest, though the quality of rations fluctuated dramatically. Brave soldiers on the front lines frequently endured long stretches without the comfort of fresh supplies. When the food finally made its appearance, it could be drenched, spoiled with mold, or pilfered by clever rats with an uncanny sense of survival. In the midst of hardship, some men concocted stews from scraps, bully beef, biscuit crumbs, and a dash of desperation, bestowing upon them ironic titles such as trench pudding. In a curious twist of fate, the British distributed a strange creation, known as Mackinac stew, a canned mixture of turnips, potatoes, and fat, wafting a subtle scent of demise. Consumed in its chill, it resonated with sorrow. Warmed up, but not quite as intense. While the British trench diet challenged the limits of endurance, the French approach was a bold celebration of culinary rebellion each day. Amidst the muck, encircled by the thunder of artillery, the sharpness of barbed wire, and the shadow of death, the French soldiers, known as poilus, endeavored to preserve the essence of mealtime, clinging to a fragment of civilization. At the heart of the French ration lay an abundance of bread, a staple in every meal. Brave soldiers were bestowed with hearty loaves of crusty pain de campage, crafted in grand batches and carried in sturdy sacks, draped over the backs of mules. Was it ever truly fresh? Absolutely not. Yet it was French bread, and even in its stale state, it surpassed British hardtack in flavor and posed less of a threat to one's teeth. With the bread arrived cheese, occasionally tinned meat, and when fortune smiled upon them, sardines or beans graced their table. Yet, amidst the unfolding feast, there was one element that consistently made its grand entrance. Once upon a time, in a land where the sun kissed the vineyards, there flowed a liquid treasure known as wine. Indeed, amidst the grim realities of trench warfare, the French soldiers found a small solace in their daily rations of wine, receiving approximately half a liter each day. This was not the famed Chateau Margaux. It often had a feeble, tangy essence, best savored in haste, before the cork recalled its true nature as anything but a seal. Yet it raised spirits and served as a reminder that they remained human, or at the very least French, amidst the chaos and muck. A few brave souls endeavored to prepare their meals with care. From the remnants of metal tins and salvaged debris, makeshift stoves emerged, crafted with care and ingenuity. Brave souls would gather around, heating water in their helmets, transforming leftover meat into hearty stews, and stirring bubbling soups with the sharp edge of their bayonets. One sergeant, renowned for his unconventional methods, crafted omelettes using shell casings. Not a soul inquired about the origins of the eggs. No one was eager to learn. The Pinard, or wine, grew to be so vital to the culture that military leaders found themselves more concerned about the dwindling supplies of wine than the availability of ammunition. Brave warriors laughed, claiming they could face the fury of machine guns, yet the thought of parched canteens was their true nemesis. Yet the availability of supplies often wavered. In the midst of relentless bombardments, provisions might decay on their journey or reach their destination riddled with the scars of conflict. In times of scarcity, provisions were frequently exchanged, traded, or taken by stealth. Yet the essence of the French soldier shone brightly. Should you find yourself in the throes of suffering, let it be accompanied by a crust of bread, a sip of wine, and a morsel that might remind you of cheese. In the early days of the conflict, the German soldiers found themselves enjoying surprisingly hearty meals. The provisions were substantial, meticulously arranged, and crafted with a precision that spoke of German ingenuity. In the dim light of the kitchen, the aroma of dark rye. Bread mingles with the savory scent of sausages and smoked meats. A hearty plate of potatoes and tangy sauerkraut sits at the center, accompanied by a steaming cup of strong black coffee, ready to awaken the senses. For a fleeting instant, it bore a striking resemblance to a charming countryside picnic, if one could overlook the scurrying rats, the muck beneath, and the cacophony of shells shrieking through the sky. Yet, as the conflict continued, and the Allied blockade grew more stringent, the German diet experienced a swift and disheartening change. Welcome to a time of substitutes, a term that hints at something standing in, yet more precisely conveys the essence of something that falls short of true nourishment. In the realm of substitutes, one might find that ersatz coffee is crafted from the humble ingredients of roasted barley, chicory, or even acorns, each offering a unique twist to the Nies. Familiar brew. The aroma hinted at coffee, yet sipping it was akin to enduring a trial. Substitutes for flour comprised an array of peculiar ingredients such as sawdust, potato starch, and whatever the quartermaster insisted was beneficial for sustenance. In a world where meat was shrouded in mystery, it arrived in cans, its origins cloaked in secrecy, leaving one to wonder if it ever came from an animal at all. Yet, amidst the trials and tribulations, the humble black bread stood steadfast as the cornerstone of sustenance for the German soldier. Thick and tangy, it stood resilient against the dampness of the trenches, almost like a shield in its own right. It could serve as a meal, a makeshift sandbag, or with a single powerful swing, it could take down a rat. Whispers circulated that it possessed the remarkable ability to resist shrapnel. They were indeed correct. As the situation deteriorated, the taste of meat faded into a distant recollection. In a realm where cabbage, turnips, and enigmatic thin soups danced together, the stage was set for culinary intrigue. Fat held great value. In the realm of culinary treasures, the acquisition of bacon grease or lard transformed into a form of social currency, a prized possession among those in the know. In the midst of the chaos, soldiers bartered their cigarettes, spare boots, and even precious ammunition, all in pursuit of a dash of something to transform their bleak boiled turnip soup into a more palatable experience. And yet, in the face of adversity, German soldiers displayed remarkable ingenuity. The field kitchens continued their steadfast operation. Some crafted makeshift ovens, while others engaged in trade with the local populace, or scavenged whatever they could amidst the chaos of bombardments. In the depths of despair, innovation flourished, and many of the concoctions that arose from the battlegrounds were both chilling and surprisingly potent. Yet nothing captured the essence of transformation quite like the shift from sausage to imitation sausage, a gastronomic decline that lingered in the bellies of those along the Western Front. By 1918, numerous German troops found themselves depleted, both in body and in sustenance. Hunger was not merely a feeling of unease. It was the unraveling of a carefully constructed plan. The soldier sensed it deeply, and thus the endeavor of war unfolded. Nourishing a legion is no simple task. In a vast realm where diverse cultures intertwine, a tapestry of languages flourishes. Yet a singular menu remains elusive, and the threads of the supply chain begin to fray. That was the unique flavor of suffering embraced by the Austro-Hungarian military in a vast empire that spanned from Vienna to Sarajevo. A diverse array of soldiers hailed from Hungary, Czechia, Slovakia, Croatia, Poland, and other lands each, bringing with them unique dietary preferences and cherished national dishes. The outcome in the trenches? A tale of a culinary identity in a state of uncertainty, presented with a hint of warmth. Standard rations consisted of black bread, often moldy and perpetually dense, accompanied by soup, the ever-reliable solution to whatever remnants remained. In the wagon, the soup could hold within it a medley of beans, barley, aged potatoes, dried peas, turnips, or perhaps a bone steeped in sentimental significance. At times, it happens in a single moment. It was affectionately, or perhaps resentfully, dubbed Eintopf, translating to one pot, a term that encapsulated the army's entire culinary approach. The Hungarian troops frequently yearned for stews rich with paprika. The Czechs longed for their beloved dumplings. The Slovenians yearned for a splash of color in their lives. But what of the cooks? They crafted their efforts from the resources at hand, weaving together a tapestry of possibility. Yet, what lay before us was seldom sufficient. One shining beacon in the midst of it all was lard, which played a prominent role. It found its way onto bread, swirled into soups, and on those rare, desperate occasions, it was savored straight from the spoon. What about nutrition? It could be said. Exquisite? Absolutely not. Yet in the grim reality of trench warfare, sustenance triumphs over gourmet fare without fail. The logistics unfolded like a tangled web, fraught with challenges at every turn. The supplies faced delays, or lost along the way, or found themselves on unexpected paths. Some troops endured days without proper meals, prompting them to forage, loot, or even transform horses into stew, often disregarding the horse's thoughts on the matter. In certain regional units, there were moments when the spirit of culinary tradition shone through, as they crafted local dishes whenever the circumstances permitted. They drew upon the bounty of the countryside, or engaged in barter with the local civilians, weaving a tapestry of flavors and community resilience. Yet the majority of soldiers navigated the unpredictable feast of the central kitchen, striving to endure each meal's uncertain fate. Ah, and we mustn't overlook the magic of coffee. Or perhaps a shadowy brew known as coffee. In truth, it was frequently roasted grain or beet pulp pretending to be caffeine. The soldiers partook of it regardless. The heat was intense, sharp, and just a touch more uplifting than the chill of cold water. In the end, the culinary offerings of the Austro-Hungarian trenches may not have been uniform, yet they were a collective experience. Amidst the depths of despair, an unusual bond began to form. Indeed, when you've weathered the trials of boiled turnip stew and the chaos of shellfire in a single afternoon, a bond like no other is forged for eternity. In the grim landscape of trench food throughout Europe, the Russian rations stood out, casting a shadow that made the rest seem almost indulgent. In the shadow of World War I, the Russian soldier's menu unfolded as a tale of stark endurance, sustained by unwavering faith and tempered by the harsh reality of meager hopes. The essential element? Dark, hearty bread. Thick, tangy, and often encased in ice during the cold months. It was torn asunder by bayonets or shattered against the unforgiving rocks. If you can savor it without risking a dental disaster, well done. In that moment, you found yourself on the brink of nourishment. Then, the tale turned to sallo. Chilled, cured slabs of pork fat, a delicacy to savor. Nothing but the essence, stripped of embellishments, a raw indulgence. Russians didn't just nibble. They sank their teeth into it, like it was a candy bar. What about nutrition? Indeed, delicious? Only if you've been so profoundly affected that indifference has taken root. Once upon a time, there was a humble dish known as kasha, or buckwheat porridge, that graced the tables whenever it was within reach. Rich, satisfying, and delightfully warm, it stood out as one of the rare meals that felt like a choice made with pleasure. Yet, it frequently arrived lacking flavor, and in amounts that could only be deemed as representative. In the heart of the battlefield, where the chill of the air clung to the weary soldiers, cabbage soup, or shi, as it was fondly called, emerged as the warm embrace of sustenance, the nearest semblance of a hearty meal that many troops would experience. Delicate and translucent, with an abundance of cabbage, it was whispered that each spoonful could diminish spirits by a staggering 12%. From time to time, a wayward bone or enigmatic lump would emerge, met with a chorus of cheers and a cloud of suspicion. What tales can be told about meat? Uncommon and contemplative. When the meat made its entrance, it bore the marks of age, a dull gray hue, or perhaps it was once a noble steed. No one inquired. The boundary separating hunger from dignity was delicate, and each day many soldiers traversed it. Across the vast expanse of the empire, the Russian supply lines, already burdened and stretched thin, found themselves in a state of remarkable disarray. In the midst of their toils, soldiers frequently found themselves waiting for sustenance, often receiving their meals long after the hour had passed. If they received them at all, in the midst of prolonged campaigns, they turned to pillaging. Nearby hamlets, simmering tree bark, or simply gnawing on their own despair. And then came the vodka, the unspoken staple of the Russian army. There were times when it was scarce, yet when it graced our presence, it served as a remedy for pain, a lift for spirits, and, if consumed with haste, a stand-in for a warm bowl of soup. Regrettably, it frequently lost its essence, or was substituted with concoctions that only mimicked vodka, carrying the scent of furniture polish. Ultimately, the essence of Russian trench food transcended the mere act of eating. It was a testament to the resilience of those who endured it. In a world where sustenance was a blessing and resistance was rare, one found solace in the simple things that nourished the body without a struggle. And if it arrived with warmth, that was nothing short of a miracle, or a cunning snare. In the year 1917, when the Americans made their grand entrance, they brought with them a wave of fresh optimism, gleaming equipment, and an unwavering conviction that their culinary offerings surpassed all others. Indeed, it was, in a manner of speaking. If one were to assess meals solely by their calorie content, disregarding any emotional baggage, at the heart of every American soldier's sustenance lay the reserve ration, a carefully curated selection of canned meat, hardtack biscuits, coffee, sugar, salt, and the quintessentially American touch of 3 cigarettes per meal, all gathered together in a poignant farewell to life. Indeed, the U.S. Army truly included smokes in their dinner provisions. The fate of lung health seemed to linger in the shadows, while the allure of flavor danced just out of reach. Let us begin with the heart of the matter. Corned beef hash, sealed within cans, boasts a texture that defies the fork, standing firm and resolute. Chill enveloped it, akin to the texture of carpet padding. God, it was sweltering, akin to a thick layer of steaming carpet padding. The soldiers affectionately referred to it as goldfish, not for its swimming prowess, but for its presence in tins that stirred memories of home-cooked meals, rich with warmth and devoid of sorrow. And so the bacon arrived. It promised to lift spirits, but the moment you lifted the lid, reality struck. It came in a hue of gray, rich in fat, and so brimming with salt that it could easily serve as a means to preserve a horse. Consumed in its natural state, it possessed a delightful chewiness. When fried, it transformed into something somewhat palatable, particularly for those who hadn't dined since their time in Belgium. Beans, indeed, were the quintessential classic of the American trenches. Preserved, roasted, drifting, arid. Whatever you can think of, they delivered it. The soldiers soon discovered that there's a unique bond formed in the shared experience of communal bean digestion within the confines of their dugout. Yet, what truly captivated the hearts of the Yanks was the rich allure of coffee, crafted with a potency that could peel paint and served from kettles steeped in history since the days of Fort Leavenworth. It was the trench's sacred elixir, presented dark, sharp, and searing like the heat of a gun's muzzle, and that was merely on a favorable occasion. And let us not overlook the humble chewing gum, carefully provided to ease the burdens of stress, prolong the life of our teeth, and perhaps even deter one from gnawing on their own fingers amidst the chaos of shellfire. In truth, the American rations held a certain reliability, rendering them quite exotic when viewed through the lens of European standards. Indeed, they may have been devoid of zest, yet they arrived punctually, remained uncontentious, and seldom featured any wriggling surprises. After 5 days of beans and hash, even the Germans began to seem less intimidating than facing yet another breakfast of mystery meat. Nourishing a legion throughout an expansive realm is a formidable challenge. In the midst of vast deserts and towering mountains, where infrastructure crumbled and chaos reigned, the Ottoman Empire's trench kitchen stood as a testament to resilience. It was a remarkable endeavor, straddling the line between the 20th century and the tumult of logistical challenges, all in the name of nourishing an army. In the vast tapestry of the Ottoman Empire, the average soldier, whether Turkish, Arab, Kurdish, or hailing from distant lands, found himself facing rations that were meager, monotonous, and expertly designed to evoke a sense of culinary hopelessness. The heart of the meal was lentils, oiled into a soft embrace, fried into golden patties, or merely gazed upon in quiet contemplation. Lentils stood as the steadfast foundation of the trench diet, not by choice, but by the hand of fate. Ah, the tale of the onions, a true sensation, that captured the hearts and palates of many. Fresh, preserved, or charred if you could summon the flames. Wholesome in its truth, yet heart-wrenchingly poignant. And then came the flatbread, which, when fresh, revealed a surprisingly delightful taste. Yet in the depths of the trenches, such moments were few and far between. Once it set, it transformed into protective gear or makeshift footwear for urgent situations. Ah, the allure of meat. Let us embrace moderation. Upon its arrival, it often presented itself as salted lamb or goat, a chewy, gamey fare, steeped in history and old enough to recall the echoes of the Crimean War. For many soldiers, the taste of meat was a rare delight, savored only during special occasions or conjured in the depths of their dreams. In the interim, they relied on bulgur, rice, or anything else that offered no resistance from the supply sack. In the annals of history, the Ottoman supply chain, often sluggish in its pace, was prone to frequent disruptions. Food journeyed forth in carts, upon the sturdy backs of mules, or even on the shoulders of the soldiers themselves. When the skies opened up, the supplies were left drenched. When the sun shone brightly, they indulged themselves. In the calm of the day, they vanished without a trace. Victory eluded all who sought it. It is worth noting that numerous Ottoman soldiers possessed commendable skills as field cooks. With a dented pot in hand, a sprinkle of cumin, and unwavering determination, they transformed meager rations into a dish that hinted at nourishment. However, it's important to understand that this was a tale of inventive sustenance, rather than an experience of gourmet cuisine. The true heartache? There is no coffee, at least not the kind that brings joy. Once a cherished tradition of the empire, authentic Turkish coffee fell victim to the ravages of war. What took its place was a concoction that was bitter and thin, crafted from roasted chickpeas or acorns. It failed to evoke the muse of verse. As the Canadian soldiers stepped onto the battlefield, they found themselves under the command of the British, embracing the traditions and systems that came with it, including the British ration system that would sustain them through the trials ahead. This signified that they, too, were graced with the sacred trio of trench fare: bully beef, hardtack, and tea. Yet, despite the food remaining unchanged, the spirit was undeniably, quintessentially Canadian. Let us embark on a journey with the infamous bully beef, that same tin of shimmering, compressed disappointment once bestowed upon the British. Only now it lies colder, perhaps even encased in frost. During the winter months, it is said that Canadian troops ingeniously utilized unopened cans as makeshift ice bricks. During the summer months, they chose to keep them sealed, prioritizing safety above all else. Hardtack was yet another delight. A biscuit that resembled a concrete slab, it was devoid of flavor, dry, and sometimes seemed to hail from the era of the last great conflict. Brave soldiers immersed it in tea, soup, or any liquid that could spare them from the perils of emergency dental surgery. A Canadian private recounted how he repurposed his as a doorstop following the war. It unfolded seamlessly. And then, naturally, there was tea, bold, fiery, and crafted with every chance that arises. Amidst the thunderous roar of shellfire, Canadian troops huddled behind sandbags, their hands gripping steaming enamel mugs as if they were casting spells against lurking demons. Tea was not merely a beverage. It was a collective spirit infused with the essence of caffeine. In contrast to their British counterparts, certain Canadians returned with locally sourced morale boosters, a touch of maple syrup secretly brought from home, perhaps a tin filled with molasses cookies, lovingly sent by an aunt from the vast prairie lands. These treasures were precious and instinctively shared with all, for it is difficult to savor a meal under the gaze of frostbitten eyes. And let us not overlook the bacon. Served in ample portions of savory, rich meat, it was cooked over makeshift flames whenever someone bravely ventured to avoid drawing the attention of artillery. Canadians discovered the delightful charm of bacon, only to find that its allure can attract unexpected visitors, especially when a rat makes a daring attempt to snatch it away Mid-sizzle. The Canadian supply system, though still intertwined with the Empire's grand logistics web, often displayed a flair for efficiency, or perhaps a touch of ingenuity. Rations were carefully extended, exchanged, and at times discreetly acquired from neighboring units that had less vigilant watchmen. When the British Empire summoned, India responded, dispatching over 1 million soldiers to engage in a conflict that bore no relevance to their lives and offered even less in the way of comforting cuisine. Indian soldiers, bound by their deep-rooted religious and cultural dietary practices, soon discovered that the trench rations served to them were not merely a means of nourishment, but rather a gradual erosion of their very identities, spoonful by spoonful. The typical British provisions bully, beef, hardtack, and tea were, for numerous Indian soldiers, utterly unpalatable. Hindus were presented with beef, Muslims were given pork, and all, irrespective of their origins, were compelled to consume something that embodied the essence of colonial apathy, that in a remarkable display of conviction. Numerous Indian units stood, firm in their principles, choosing not to consume forbidden meats, even amidst the chaos of battle. In a remarkable display of ingenuity, they came together, sharing what they had, preparing meals in their own unique ways when the opportunity arose. With creativity as their guide, they transformed everything from battered pots to steel helmets into vessels for boiling dal, rice, or sabzi. On fortunate days, they succeeded in recreating uncomplicated meals. On those challenging days, they simmered onions, yearning for a touch of the miraculous. In the vibrant tapestry of Indian cooking, spices held a place of utmost importance, often elusive treasures, found only through clandestine care packages or daringly seized from the storied reserves of British officers. In their absence, each meal echoed the essence of Europe, dull, damp, and tinged with an air of discontent. British commanders, ever eager to misinterpret the situation, sometimes attempted to enhance conditions by serving curried bully beef, a dish that was merely standard bully beef, dusted with a touch of imperialism and a hint of mild regret. In the face of adversity, Indian soldiers found ways to adapt and overcome. With the warmth of the fire, chapatis were crafted from trench flour, their golden edges kissed by the heat of shovels, while lentils patiently soaked in mess tins, absorbing the essence of the moment. Some men cradled spice mixtures in small cloth bags, protecting them with a vigilance that rivaled their rifles. In those moments when time allowed, meals were gathered around and shared together. The meal might have lacked substance, yet the sense of honor was abundant. Yet this journey transcended mere taste. It was a testament to belief. The arrival of the wrong food was not merely a matter of inconvenience. It was a calamity of the spirit. Some turned away from rations for days on end, while others engaged in trade with local civilians or fellow colonial troops. Determined to endure without yielding, Indian troops endured not just the biting cold and gnawing hunger, but also the profound feeling of being completely overlooked and misinterpreted by the very empire they pledged their loyalty to. And so they persevered, each moment infused with the fragrant essence of cumin, rising like a gentle steam cloud. Under the banners of French and British forces, African colonial troops found themselves journeying far from their homelands, often separated from the familiar sustenance that resonated with their heritage. Hailing from the vibrant lands of Senegal, Algeria, Morocco, and beyond, these men carried with them rich culinary traditions, only to confront the stark reality of Europe's tinned misfortune. The French, it must be said, provided rations that were a touch more palatable than those offered by the British. Yet for the West African soldiers, a tin of cold beef and a chunk of bread fell short of satisfying their cravings for the comforting embrace of millet porridge or the vibrant flavors of spicy groundnut stew. It primarily stirred a sense of bewilderment. The provisions consisted of hardtack, tinned meat, and now and then a piece of salted fish. Yet these foods engaged in a fierce battle with the local diets, both in terms of digestion and spiritual harmony. Numerous soldiers crafted their own kitchens just behind the trenches, driven by wood fires, helmet lids, and the tenacity of recollection. When rice made its appearance, it transformed into a source of sustenance. In a bubbling cauldron, water dances with a handful of grains, while a sprinkle of forage spices weaves a tapestry of flavors, conjuring the essence of home. With dried okra, onions, and peppers, whether smuggled, bartered, or foraged, ordinary French rations were magically transformed into something that bore a hint of familiarity. In the midst of the desert, some Algerian and Moroccan units carried with them small tagines or metal pots, crafting slow-cooked stews that stirred envy and bewilderment among their neighboring soldiers. Even amidst the chaos of shellfire, they moved with purpose, seasoned and served, for if the end was near, it ought to carry the fragrant essence of Commandant. Yet the chasms of cultural misunderstanding were profound. Pork was often provided to the Muslim soldiers. The practice of religious fasting was overlooked. French officers, perplexed that their provisions weren't met with universal acclaim, reacted in the manner typical of colonial leaders, attributing the discontent to the troops' lack of gratitude. Yet the meal was merely a fragment of the battle. A significant number of African troops were regarded as disposable resources. They carved out trenches, transported supplies, and stood resolutely at the most perilous front lines. In the midst of chaos, meals became fleeting moments, often hurried, unfairly portioned, or entirely absent when life took a turn for the complicated. And so they gathered around the flames, crafting dishes that told tales of resilience, weaving together flavors and traditions that defied the blandness of conformity with their vibrant spices and inventive spirit. Italian soldier set forth to battle, his mind filled with dreams of pasta, polenta, and the comforting embrace of Mama's ragu. What he received was a bowl of beans, a piece of military bread, and the chilling understanding that no one prepares pasta to perfection amidst the chaos of artillery fire. Amidst the rugged peaks of the Isonzo front, Italian soldiers faced a relentless struggle against one of the harshest landscapes of the conflict. Food had to be transported by mule, navigating the treacherous cliffs and braving the biting cold of the valleys below. Imagining a scenario where the mules remained untouched, unclaimed, or perhaps too disheartened to press on. What is the customary portion? Loaves of conflict, bread of battle. A heavy, muted loaf crafted from wheat, barley, and the weight of existential contemplation. It stood resilient, capable of halting shrapnel, while its arid essence seemed to drain the very moisture from your recollections. Alongside this arrived beans, typically white or brown, boiled until tender and frequently seasoned with a hint of disillusionment and the essence of melted snow. Salt pork would sometimes grace the table, bringing with it a touch of fat and salt, yet lacking in any semblance of dignity. The meat was a challenge, tough and stringy, as if it had been wrested from frozen slabs with nothing but trench knives and a sprinkle of colorful curses. Should the supply lines endure a considerable uncertainty, the soldiers could expect macaroni or polenta, albeit both would come cold, congealed, and lacking any semblance of poetry. In the heart of the trenches, the act of cooking transformed into a daunting challenge, where a rusty shell casing served as the stove and a mere fragment of a fence post became the fuel. And then came the vino, the humble Italian wine ration that endeavored to elevate spirits, though it primarily raised eyebrows. Slender and sharp, it embodied not the refined charm of Chianti, but rather the mishap of a vineyard's misfortune. Yet a cozy sip of red wine amidst the snow-blanketed trench served as a gentle reminder that life had once danced around tables and chairs. The challenges of logistics loomed like a relentless adversary. As winter's chill enveloped the land, provisions succumbed to the icy grasp before they could ever reach the front lines. During the warm embrace of summer, it met its unfortunate fate while on its journey. And in the midst of it all, it was whisked. Away by rats, officers, or perhaps even your own hunger, before you had the chance to pry open the can. In the face of adversity, the Italian soldiers continued to gather around their meals, their voices rising in song, and occasionally adding a touch of flavor to their dishes. If they couldn't return to the warmth of Mama's kitchen, they'd find solace in crafting trench risotto, enriched with a touch of mud. While the Western Front was a treacherous expanse of mud and the acrid sting of mustard gas, the Balkan Front unfolded amidst the rugged mountains, a tapestry of mud and an abundance of cabbage. The battles waged here were fierce, tumultuous, and often accompanied by an icy chill dot, and the food harmonized beautifully with the atmosphere, creating a delightful synergy. In the rugged landscapes of the Balkans, the troops Serbian, Bulgarian, Montenegrin, and others navigated their sustenance through the art of boiling, crafting stews from whatever ingredients could be coaxed into a hearty meal, all while respecting the unyielding laws of nature. In the realm of humble sustenance, cabbage, potatoes, and onions stood as steadfast companions, their resilience allowing them to endure the trials of long journeys. Regrettably, the scent lingered, wrapping itself around uniforms, tents, and likely invading the enemy's senses from afar. At the heart of almost every feast lay a warm, inviting bowl of soup, delicate, slick, and prepared over the flickering flames of campfires when fortune smiled upon you, or over the smoldering remnants of furniture when it did not. A delightful soup may hold within its depths beans, barley, or perhaps a mysterious legume bestowed upon it by the whims of destiny. A remarkable soup could feature genuine meat, often mutton, perhaps some pork fat, or in the most extraordinary instances, a once valiant cavalry horse that had served with distinction and then, quite delightfully, found its way into the pot. When it graced the table, red was a cherished companion, yet it often danced just out of reach, elusive and rare dot in times of hardship. Soldiers would take simple flour and water, crafting biscuits that hardened like stone. These humble creations served dual purposes, providing sustenance and acting as makeshift tools in their hands. In those times, coffee was a luxury, often substituted with roasted barley or acorns, a common thread woven through the fabric of the war's less fortunate fronts. The concoction appeared as if it were born from the earth, exuding an aroma reminiscent of a crackling hearth, serving primarily as a comforting illusion in liquid form. In the heart of the Balkans, soldiers emerged from humble beginnings, their lives once intertwined with the land as peasants. They had learned the art of survival, mastering the skill of making do with the bare essentials. Spontaneity was essential. A morsel of smoked meat, a dash of wild herbs, or a stray garlic clove could transform a pot of boiled sorrow into something nearly sustaining, nearly there. Regrettably, the supply lines in the Balkans were quite the tale of creativity. The roads were but a whisper of what they could be, railroads a distant dream in countless regions. And sustenance journeyed by ox cart, or the fragile wings of hope dot the rations. It seemed had a way of arriving fashionably late, often incomplete, or in some cases, never gracing our presence at all. The art of foraging emerged as an essential craft. In the shadows of forgotten villages, the act of taking what was left behind became a familiar tale. Exchanging cigarettes for eggs? A true test of skill and endurance. Yet the spirit endured, for there is a unique bond forged in the shared experience of enduring the same pot of overcooked cabbage. Prisoner of war meals made trench rations seem like a feast fit for royalty. Captured soldiers in world war found themselves ensnared in camps where the only thing more dismal than the company was the cooking, if one could even dare to label boiling despair in a pot as cooking. In the various camps, whether German, Russian, French, or British, the common fare for prisoners of war was a humble bowl of soup. Forever soup. Delicate and pale, sometimes embracing warmth, frequently recounted by those who endured it as a blend, reminiscent of watery cabbage or a steaming concoction with curious floaters. None could fathom what drifted upon the surface. None dared to voice the question. Amidst this culinary mire, there appeared a hunk of bread, often stale and so heavy it could double as a doorstop or a makeshift weapon. This bread was frequently stretched with sawdust or potato starch, depending on who was weaving the tale of its edibility. Meat was legendary. When it finally made its entrance, it was weighed in milligrams. A fragment of aged sausage, a relic steeped in the essence of taste, not in a tale that has traveled through time. There was a French POW camp where the menu featured a dish they referred to as beef. However, the reality was far from what one might expect, as it was revealed to be nothing more than boiled rat. The opinions varied widely. The rat remained silent. The count of calories was minimal. Hunger's grip is easing. In the early days, a notable number of inmates shed considerable pounds. Some have been transformed. Some did not. In the harsh confines of Russian camps, where the notion of supply lines was little more than a fleeting hope, the specter of starvation loomed large, haunting the daily existence of those trapped within. As the war continued its relentless march, the rations in German camps dwindled dramatically, leaving resources scarce and hope fading. Behold the Red Cross parcel, a true beacon of hope. In these care packages, generously sent from the British, one could find tinned meat, biscuits, chocolate, tea, and soap, each item a small token of comfort and sustenance. Upon their arrival, they were cherished beyond measure. When they failed to comply, the situation took a turn for the dramatic. In the shadowy corners of confinement, inmates would barter, wager, and fiercely protect their precious parcels, much like mythical beasts guarding their troves of treasure. With canned milk as the coveted prize, some prisoners transformed into camp chefs, crafting intricate meals from the scant offerings of Red Cross boxes. Delightful sardine pâté, indulgent biscuit pudding, and even whimsical mock roasts. Every dish crafted on humble stoves within earthen-floored shelters, overseen by vigilant sentinels who fail to recognize the artistry of the kitchen. In a world transformed, sustenance emerged as the very essence of trade. A simple tin of jam might just lead you to a cozy pair of socks. A delightful bar of chocolate. Guardianship. A piece of genuine bread. Essentially a tool for influence. Behind every weary soldier chewing on unidentifiable rations loomed a shadowy presence, wielding a ladle and gazing into the distance with a haunting, far-off look. The cook of the trenches. These were not renowned culinary artists. In those days, there were no recipe books or aprons to guide them. With dented pots and flickering fires that danced precariously, they faced the daily quest of transforming military rations into something far from the harshness of trench mortar. The kitchens of the field were designed to be on the move. Ingenious. Machines trailed behind the front, cleverly masquerading as humble soup-making apparatuses. In truth, they were vessels of bubbling concoctions, rich with flavors and dreams. Exhaling clouds of determination. In the kitchen, chefs faced the constant challenge of scarcity, crafting their creations with whatever limited resources were at their disposal. The day of a trench cook unfolded at the break of dawn and stretched into the twilight, concluding whenever the tasks were done. In the kitchen, meals were crafted in grand quantities, relying on ingredients that leaned more towards preservation. And nourishment. In the heart of the kitchen, turnips, cabbage, onions, and salted meat formed the very essence of the meal. Flavor often took a back seat, frequently swapped out for a sharp wit. Against all odds, these culinary artisans conjured a dish that, while perhaps not perfect, was certainly a testament to their creativity and resourcefulness. Emerging from the barest of ingredients, they crafted stews that flowed with water, leaving the ingredients to play a mere supporting role. They brought the hard-tack biscuits back to life, transforming them until they bore a striking resemblance to bread once more. A handful of beans was laid out across a pot, intended to nourish 30 men. In a world where culinary wonders might just be hidden away, they lay concealed in the depths of a trench, overshadowed by a cook's fervent curses directed at his trusty ladle. Yet the meal awaited its journey to the table. Amidst the flames of conflict, through the muck, the twisted metal, and at times navigating the territories where the rats had established their dominion, brave souls ventured into the fray, risking everything for the comfort of a warm meal, while the dedicated cooks, undeterred by the chaos, navigated their soup carts through the very heart of turmoil. In the midst of conflict, some armies crafted clever fire trenches, ingenious shelters where meals could be warmed without the revealing smoke that might draw the gaze of lurking enemy snipers. In the chill of winter, these places transformed into hallowed grounds. During the warm embrace of summer, they transformed into bustling havens for flies. Field cooks served as confidants and healers. Warriors shared their grievances, exchanged light-hearted banter, and implored for a bit more bread. A skilled chef could ensure the smooth operation of a unit. A culinary disaster. Their time was fleeting, wasn't it? Whispers abound of a British unit on the brink of rebellion, all sparked by the unfortunate fate of some burnt porridge. Through countless miles of muck, an endless barrage of gunfire, and an abundance of cabbage that no conflict ever demanded, one truth endured across every battlefield, every faction, and every wretched trench. Consuming sustenance anchored your humanity. Just enough. The sustenance in the trenches was devoid of joy. It wasn't solely focused on nutrition. It was a tale woven around the concept of calories. Thick, oily, flavorless sustenance, sufficient to propel a man forward, firing his weapon, toiling in the earth, and now and then weeping into a dish of reconstituted sorrow. Warriors adapted to a life stripped of flavor, lacking the tools of their trade, and at times, even the simple act of chewing became a challenge. They feasted in a dance of movement, crouched low, standing tall, racing forward, or sprawled out, all while the icy water lapped at their bodies, a mere 6 inches deep. When the heat was on, it brought forth something special. If it were substantial, all the more delightful. When things remained still, it was a sign that fortune smiled upon you. And yet, food transformed into something greater. In the direst of circumstances, it became a sacred tradition. As the kettle sings its gentle tune, the aroma of tea fills the air, while biscuits are passed around like cherished secrets. A playful tussle ensues over the prized, slightly less soggy piece of bread, each moment weaving a tapestry of warmth and camaraderie. It was a sense of solace, not due to its flavor, but because it signified your continued existence to experience it. A warm meal can elevate moods more swiftly than words ever could. A simple tin of jam has the power to spark a beautiful friendship. A single missing ration could ignite a fierce brawl. Food served as a form of currency, a source of therapy, a tool for diplomacy, and at times it was the sole barrier separating one from the brink of madness. Every army possessed its own unique idiosyncrasies. British tea, French wine, German black bread, Russian kasha, American beans, Ottoman lentils, each a thread in the rich tapestry of shared experience that transcends borders. A spoonful of sorrow. And let us not overlook the art of spontaneous creation. From helmet-lid stews to coffee brewed with mud and courage, brave souls across continents crafted inventive methods to transform their meals into something slightly more palatable. Field Kitchens transformed limited resources into culinary wonders, showcasing the ingenuity of weary masterminds. Brave souls adapted their culinary skills, crafting meals from whatever remained unscathed amidst the chaos. Even in confinement, even in hunger, sustenance held a significance. It signified a rich tapestry of traditions. Welcome to the place where it all begins. Essence, the flickering ember of your former self, before the chaos of battle pushed you into a dark abyss and offered you a mere spoon. In a realm where chaos reigned and shadows loomed, a warm dish crafted from the simplest of ingredients like fat, fear, and cabbage served as a beacon of hope, a poignant reminder of resilience amidst the turmoil. The flame of hope still flickered within you. In a time long past, before the advent of scalpels, anesthesia, and the very notion of germs, there existed trepanation, a daring and audacious practice of scraping, drilling, or cutting a hole into the human skull. It evokes images of a grim medieval torture chamber, yet its origins stretch back to a time before civilization even began. Across the vast tapestry of time and space, intrepid archaeologists have unearthed ancient skulls, their surfaces marked by trepanation, whispering tales from over 7,000 years ago. These relics, found in diverse locales, from the lofty highlands of Peru to the expansive plains of Ukraine, invite us to ponder the mysteries of our ancestors. It seems that the very first endeavor of humanity in the realm of neurosurgery involved the dramatic act of cracking open a skull. But here's the twist in the tale. A handful of these individuals emerged from the shadows of adversity, not merely one or two. In the depths of ancient graves, the healed bone encircling the openings tells a tale of survival, revealing that those who underwent these procedures lived long enough for their skulls to begin mending. This suggests that these were not mere acts of violence, but rather intentional medical interventions. This brings us face to face with a disquieting reality. In a time long past, a curious soul gazed upon the turmoil of a seizure, the agony of a headache, or the despair of a mental breakdown and pondered, what if we simply cracked open the skull and released the malevolent spirits within? And that was precisely the conviction they held. In the days of yore, the practice of medicine danced around the mysteries of the human body, far removed from the concepts of bacteria or tumors. Once upon a time, there existed a world woven with the threads of spirits shadowed by curses and teetering on the edge of imbalance. Trepanation was regarded as a safe endeavor. It was a healing experience. Is a headache troubling you? What about a drill? Emotional tides? What about a drill? Injury from the battlefield? Gather round, my friends, for a tale begins with a simple word: drill. A tale of a marriage that didn't find its happy ending? All right, maybe not that one. Yet the essence is clear. The instruments employed were, shall we say, quite primitive. With flint scrapers, obsidian knives, and eventually bronze tools, artisans crafted flawlessly circular openings, each cut a testament to their skill and precision. It is said that on occasion, the patient remained conscious, restrained by the caring hands of friends or family nearby. Without any anesthetic, it was all about sheer willpower, adrenaline, and perhaps a stroke of luck with some fermented berry juice. The precision is truly remarkable. Some skulls reveal pristine, symmetrical openings, surpassing the skills of even some first-year medical students. In a time long past, these early surgeons, though devoid of the insights we possess today, crafted reliable methods that were shared and refined through the ages. Though their grasp of the brain resembled the fanciful notions of astrology, the artistry they wielded with a chisel and a dash of courage was nothing short of remarkable. In the annals of history, one ancient civilization stands out for its intriguing blend of scientific inquiry and mystical beliefs surrounding the art of surgery: the Egyptians. These linen-clad morticians were not only masters of preserving the departed, but they also possessed a remarkable talent for mending the living, thanks to the Edwin Smith Papyrus, a 3,600-year-old surgical manual that unfolds like a battlefield medic's diary. We discover that the Egyptians had procedures for fractures, dislocations, abscesses, and even spinal injuries. It's like the olden days version of WebMD, without the dramatic flair of every ailment pointing to doom. In the land of the Nile, skilled hands worked their craft beneath the vigilant eyes of divine beings, with Imhotep, the revered architect who transcended into the realm of healing, watching over them. Should your skull bear a crack or your shoulder find itself dislocated, your physician may first whisper a few incantations, gaze at the celestial bodies, and then grasp his obsidian scalpel with a steady hand. The act of surgery transcended mere physicality. It became a profound battle against the forces of disease and malevolent spirits. What they wielded was a marvel of ingenuity. In the dim light of the workshop, a collection of bronze scalpels gleamed alongside forceps, hooks, cauterizing irons, and bone saws, each tool whispering tales of precision and purpose. Indeed, they may not have undergone sterilization in the traditional sense, unless one considers the act of wafting incense over them to be sufficient. However, they were employed with a meticulous approach. In ancient times, the Egyptians possessed remarkable skills in the art of healing. They expertly stitched wounds, drained abscesses, and crafted splints from reeds and linen infused with resin to mend fractures. And when it came to infection, the star of the ancient Egyptian medicine cabinet made its grand entrance: honey. With its antibacterial properties, sticky texture, and remarkable effectiveness, honey was generously applied to wounds, ensuring they remained clean and fostering the healing process. It proved to be remarkably effective, so much so that contemporary science has validated its significance. Picture this: you endure the fierce grip of a crocodile's bite, only to find yourself treated with the very substance you stir into your tea. Yet even the ancient Egyptians knew when to draw the line. They approached anything related to the belly or the brain with caution. The internal organs were revered, seen as sacred and untouchable. Thus, if one found themselves burdened with a stomach ulcer or a brain tumor, the prospects for survival were dim indeed, unless, of course, your ailment was one that could be eased by a healing poultice, a melodic chant, or the careful placement of a protective amulet. Yet, Egypt bestowed upon us one of the earliest medical systems that endeavored to distinguish treatment from mere conjecture. Though the diagnosis occasionally came with a curse or two, their surgical methods were meticulous, systematic, and astonishingly sophisticated for a culture that revered mummified cats. Indeed, those remarkable individuals who crafted the pyramids possessed the extraordinary skill to extract a splinter with an almost celestial accuracy. In a time long past, before the advent of modern hospitals and the use of sterile gloves, there existed a remarkable figure in ancient India named Sushruta. This physician, with his exceptional skills and meticulous methods, earned the esteemed title of the father of surgery. And no, this isn't merely a title we casually throw about. This individual has truly penned the definitive guide on the art of surgery. Once upon a time, there existed a remarkable tome known as the Sushruta Samhita, a Sanskrit medical manuscript crafted around 600 BCE. Within its pages lay the secrets of over 300 surgical procedures, 120 intricate instruments, and techniques so advanced they would surely leave the average medieval barber surgeon in a state of astonishment. Sushruta was a master of his craft, far from a mere butcher of the streets. He executed intricate maneuvers with an artistry that captivated all who witnessed. From the delicate art of cataract removals to the intricate procedures of hernia repairs, the skilled hands navigate through bone realignment, amputations, and even the transformative realm of cosmetic surgery. Indeed, It was India that introduced us to the art of rhinoplasty, a remarkable achievement in the annals of medical history. Imagine a time when losing your nose was not an uncommon fate, a grim reality shaped by the criminal justice system of the era. In such dire circumstances, Sushruta emerged as a master craftsman, capable of creating a new nose from the skin of your cheek or forehead. No anesthesia, naturally, just a resolute spirit and a touch of herbal wine to ease the tension. In the ancient land of India, the art of surgery was woven intricately with the wisdom of Ayurveda, a holistic approach to healing that harmonized the body, mind, and spirit. Though surgery was viewed as a final option, ideally following the remedies of herbs, massages, prayers, and the rare cow urine therapy, it was nonetheless executed with remarkable skill and knowledge. In the quiet of the healing space, wounds were meticulously cleaned with the sting of alcohol, then gently sutured with the delicate threads of plant fibers, and finally adorned with the soothing touch of antiseptic herbs. In contrast to Europe many centuries later, Indian surgeons understood the importance of cleanliness. The training was an immersive experience, filled with challenges that tested every limit. Students engaged in the art of incision, skillfully, working with vegetables, leather, deceased animals, and even water-filled bladders to replicate the texture of human tissue. Before they engaged with a real patient, they needed to demonstrate their steadiness. For once you begin to carve into another with a gleaming bronze blade, the opportunity for a second chance slips away like sand through fingers. Ancient Ayurvedic writings highlighted the importance of ethical conduct, advocating for informed consent and the compassionate care of the less fortunate without charge. It transcended the mere act of healing. It was a profound obligation to uphold what is right. In a realm where the art of healing frequently danced with the mystical, the ancient Indian practice of surgery emerged as a beacon of structured, empirical wisdom. And if you believe the Greeks were solely preoccupied with crafting democracy and debating the essence of existence, prepare to be surprised. They ventured into the realm of surgery as well. A clumsy, excruciating, and frequently fearsome operation. In the realm of ancient Greek medicine, one could find a tumultuous blend of philosophical thought, mystical beliefs, and bold experimentation. Raw and visceral, often laid bare amidst a chaos of war or within the confines of a healer's sanctuary. At the heart of the tale was Hippocrates, frequently referred to as the father of medicine. He boldly distinguished between illness and divine retribution, striving to ground his treatments in careful observation and rational thought. Groundbreaking ideas, until you come to understand that much of surgery still entails slicing into a person as they cry out in agony. Hippocrates, a figure of wisdom in the realm of healing, preferred simplicity over complexity. Yet he possessed a keen understanding of dislocations, fractures, the art of abscess drainage, and the intriguing practice of bloodletting. Nothing embodies the journey of recovery quite like the act of unveiling one's vulnerabilities and embracing the unknown. Yet the narrative took a dramatic turn with the arrival of Galen in the 2nd century CE. In the heart of Rome. A Greek physician named Galen found himself captivated by the intricate world of anatomy. Yet a formidable barrier stood in his way: the prohibition against human dissection. In the spirit of innovation that defined his era, he sought out monkeys, pigs, and even the rare gladiator to hone his craft. He conducted vivisections on animals and crafted intricate anatomical theories, some of which were wildly inaccurate, yet remarkable for someone speculating without the aid of Google or cadavers. The surgical tools of ancient Greece reveal a remarkable level of sophistication. Instruments of precision, scalpels, forceps, catheters, bone saws, and hooks. In ancient times, the Greeks employed a dramatic method known as cauterization, where they would sear a wound closed with heated metal to halt the flow of blood. Though it may evoke a sense of the ancient, it truly proved effective. excruciating, yet impactful. Imagine a time when the art of healing was performed with a blazing iron rod, and you were fully conscious throughout the entire experience. The true arenas of growth lay within the battlefields. In ancient Greece, healers faced the daunting challenge of treating arrow wounds, shattered limbs, and head traumas on the battlefield, where every moment counted and the slightest mistake could prove fatal, all without the comfort of morphine to ease the pain. Should you find yourself enduring a spear piercing through your gut, and if your surgeon manages to keep their composure in the face of exposed intestines, there's a chance you might just pull through. Yet, despite the array of tools and theories at their disposal, Greek surgery remained firmly rooted in the ancient concept of the four humors, an enchanting notion suggesting that one's well-being hinged upon the delicate equilibrium of blood, phlegm, black bile, and yellow bile. So, if the operation didn't spell your doom, an overly eager leech treatment could very well do the trick. In the grand tapestry of history, the Romans stand out, not for their finesse, but for their bold and unrefined methods, especially when it came to the art of surgery. In the grand tapestry of history, the Greeks wove intricate theories and ethical frameworks, while the Romans crafted the lifelines of field hospitals and the art of emergency trauma care. When your realm spans vast lands and your preferred hobby consists of engaging in combat within grand arenas, you quickly master the art of mending the fallen. At the heart of this gruesome advancement stood the medicus, Rome's embodiment of the battlefield surgeon. Amidst the ranks of legions, these resilient healers worked from mobile hospitals known as valetudinaria, established in close proximity to military encampments. These were not havens of solace. In those makeshift shelters of despair, the air was thick with the cries of the injured, the clatter of metal, and the pungent scent of blood and toil. In the realm of ancient medicine, Roman surgeons stood out as masters of their craft, skillfully navigating the challenges of trauma care. They deftly performed arrow extractions, mended broken bones, employed cauterization techniques, stitched wounds with precision, and executed amputations when necessary. Should your arm hang by a mere thread, the healer would present a remedy, often entailing a saw, steaming water, and the fragile hope that your heart could endure the ordeal. What about anesthesia? Not in any way. In the fortunate moments, one might find themselves with a glass of wine, or perhaps a touch of opium. In the unfortunate moments, one found themselves restrained. Yet they were not weaving their tale in the shadows. In the annals of Roman medicine, the writings of Celsus stand out, illuminating the intricate procedures that ranged from delicate eye surgeries to the removal of troublesome hemorrhoids. Celsus, with his captivating flair, recounted the art of lancing an abscess with a disquieting yet vivid enthusiasm. Carve a path deep enough for a finger to slip inside. How beautifully expressive. Their instruments, in the meantime, would seamlessly blend into the bustling environment of a contemporary emergency room. In ancient times, the Romans wielded an array of surgical instruments: forceps, scalpels, hooks, retractors, bone drills, and catheters, each crafted with precision for the art of healing. Crafted with meticulous attention, many were forged from bronze or iron. Some even featured adjustable screws. For if there was one passion the Romans held dearer than conquering Gaul, it was the art of fine engineering. Amidst the chaos of blood and injury, the practices of Roman medicine revealed a remarkable sense of order and method. The wounds were tended to with care, cleansed with vinegar, wrapped in bandages, and watched over closely. They grasped the peril of infection, even if the reasons behind it eluded their understanding. In a remarkable display of skill, they engaged in a process akin to triage, distinguishing between those who were beyond saving and those who still held a glimmer of hope. Yet their comprehension was not without boundaries. Internal surgeries were seldom undertaken. When your insides were on display, it often meant fortune was on your side. Yet, when it came to external wounds, particularly in the chaos of war, Roman surgeons performed feats of healing that were unparalleled in the ancient world. In the realm of ancient Chinese medicine, one could witness a profound dance of harmony, where the forces of yin and yang intertwined seamlessly, bridging the gap between the physical and the ethereal. It was a delicate art, skillfully navigating the choice between the sharpness of a scalpel and the gentle touch of acupuncture, each path telling its own tale of healing. In the grand tapestry of ancient Chinese civilization, where one of the most sophisticated medical systems flourished, the art of surgery was met with a careful and deliberate hand. The body was revered, a precious offering from those who came before. As I delved into it, I approached the task with great care and consideration. Yet, when the hands of fate dictated that surgery was essential, be it due to the ravages of trauma, the shadows of tumors, or the throes of severe abscesses, Chinese surgeons stepped forth, wielding their skills with remarkable creativity and resourcefulness. Documents dating back to the Zhou dynasty, around c. in the year 1000 BCE, there were accounts of surgical practices, detailing methods for treating wounds, and even the removal of organs. By the time of the Han Dynasty, figures such as Hua Tuo had risen to legendary status. Hua Tuo was not merely a herbalist who stumbled upon fortune. He blazed a trail. He skillfully carried out abdominal surgeries and tumor excisions, deftly employing anesthesia in his practice. Allow that to resonate within you. In a time when the ancient world provided little more than a stick for patients to clench, Hua Tuo emerged as a visionary, crafting an anesthetic blend known as Ma Fai San, a concoction of wine and powdered herbs such as datura. In essence, it was a legendary concoction, said to possess remarkable effects. What is the procedure that he is most renowned for? With precision, the skilled hands delved into the warlord's abdomen, carefully extracting the tainted tissue before deftly closing the wound, a testament to both expertise and resilience. In a twist befitting the tales of great innovators, Hua Tuo met his end at the hands of a wary emperor who suspected him of dabbling in dark arts. Excellent for the pursuit of knowledge, yet precarious for one's employment stability. In ancient China, the realm of surgery was graced with an array of bronze tools, knives that gleamed, needles that pierced, hooks that grasped, and cauterization irons that sealed wounds. Remarkably, many of these instruments bore a striking resemblance to those we use today. Yet, despite the availability of tools, the guiding principles frequently steered away from aggressive interventions. In the realm of traditional Chinese medicine, illness arises from the discord within the body's energy pathways, known as meridians, rather than from wayward organs or tainted blood. Thus, surgery typically stood as the final option, following a journey through herbal remedies, the soothing touch of massage, the ancient practice of cupping, or the precision of acupuncture. Yet, the ancient Chinese medical texts, such as the Huangdi Neijing, reveal a remarkable grasp of anatomy and the art of managing injuries. Though they didn't delve into the dissection of corpses as the Greeks did, nor did they mend legions like the Romans, their operations were carried out with intent, accuracy, and an unexpected level of sophistication. In the ancient cities of the Maya, Aztec, and Inca, surgery unfolded as more than a mere medical procedure. It was frequently woven into the fabric of ritual, conflict, and the demands of everyday life. Though these ancient cultures are often remembered for their towering stepped pyramids and the grim practice of human sacrifice, their expertise in surgery, particularly in the realms of bone repair, wound care, and cranial modification, reveals a sophistication that might surprise many. Let us embark on a journey with their cherished surgical instrument, the obsidian blades. With an edge so fine, it could cut through the very fabric of existence. obsidian scalpels gleamed with a pristine sharpness, their freshly broken surfaces reflecting a sterile brilliance that surpassed even the finest modern steel. Indeed, there are contemporary surgeons who have ventured into the realm of obsidian blades, captivated by the precision with which they slice through tissue. What's the catch? They break apart, scattering like fragments of a forgotten dream. Well, this certainly doesn't meet the safety standards, does it? High in the majestic Andes, the Inca carved their legacy into history, renowned for their practice of trepanation. Indeed, let us delve deeper into the realm of skull drilling. In the annals of history, we find that Inca surgeons skilled in their craft undertook countless procedures to mend the wounds of warriors, their hands steady as they treated head trauma inflicted by the harsh realities of battle, whether from sling stones or clubs. Incredibly, there were patients who not only endured one trepanation, but several, emerging from each experience with remarkable resilience. Their recovery rates frequently surpassed those of 19th century Europe, revealing the stark reality of that era's struggles. The Aztecs, in their wisdom, wielded a remarkable array of plant-based anesthetics. In their world, they turned to nature's offerings, such as talox, a remarkable herb known for its ability to dull pain and usher in restful slumber. This practice was undoubtedly wise, given the frequent necessity of amputating limbs, whether due to the cruel grip of infection, the biting chill of frostbite, or the harsh hand of punishment. Wounds were tended to with urine or chili pepper. Tinctures, a method that was both antiseptic and unforgettable. In a world where the secrets of healing were held tightly, the Tlacoconin, those skilled healers and surgeons, would pass their wisdom through generations, often beginning their training in the tender years of youth. In their skilled hands, abscesses were treated, wounds stitched with the resilient fibers of maguey cactus, and fractures expertly reset with splints crafted from wood or reeds. They recognized the deadly nature of infection and took diligent steps to ensure wounds were cleaned and closed with care. Yet, much like in numerous ancient traditions, the boundary separating healing practices from sacred rites was remarkably delicate. In the realm of healing, surgery can take on the dual role of a restorative act or a ritualistic ceremony, at times. The act of slicing through flesh served not as a means to preserve life, but rather as a ritual to placate deities or decipher the signs of fate. In a time when the world was ablaze with knowledge and discovery, there emerged a pivotal chapter in the annals of surgery, marked by the brilliance of the Islamic Golden Age. In the time between the 8th and 13th centuries, as much of Europe was caught up in the practice of bleeding patients with leeches and fervent prayers. There were scholars in vibrant cities like Baghdad, Cairo, and Cordoba who were diligently translating, preserving, and transforming the ancient wisdom of medicine. In the realm of surgical advancements, the brilliance of Persian and Arab contributions stood out, showcasing a remarkable blend of knowledge and precision. Behold Al-Zahrawi, or Abul Qarsis as he is known in Latin, a remarkable physician from the 10th century in Al-Andalus, present-day Spain, whose legacy would resonate in the annals of medical literature for generations to come. His monumental work, the Kitab al-Tasrif, unfolded as more than a mere medical guide. In a grand collection of knowledge, there lay a 30-volume encyclopedia, with the last tome dedicated solely to the art and science of surgery. The man didn't merely mention tools. He brought them to life with vivid imagery. More than 200 surgical instruments, ranging from forceps to scalpels to catheters, many of which closely resemble those found in a contemporary operating room. Al-Zahrawi shared his insights on the art of healing, detailing methods for mending fractures, the careful practice of cauterization, the intricate process of dissection, and the remarkable feats of caesarean sections and dental care. He highlighted the importance of precision, hygiene, and attentive aftercare for patients, a groundbreaking idea in a time when post-operative care was often reduced to mere luck and the hope of not staining the floor with blood. His work ignited a blaze of inspiration, captivating all who encountered it. Rendered in Latin, it transformed into a surgical guide across Europe for more than 5 centuries. This wasn't obscure information. It was widely accepted by the medical establishment. Persian polymaths such as Avicenna and Ibn Sina wove intricate threads into the fabric of surgical philosophy. Even as his focus often drifted toward the realms of diagnosis and internal medicine, his canon of medicine painted a vivid picture of when and how surgery should be employed, cautioning against the blade when simpler remedies could do the trick. Wisdom that resonates with many modern surgeons today. The remarkable nature of Islamic surgery lay in its harmonious blend of scientific inquiry, ethical considerations, and meticulous record-keeping. Surgery emerged not from mere guesswork or superstition, but as a finely tuned craft shaped through keen observation, rigorous experimentation, and spirited debate. In the heart of hospitals, known as Bimaristans, one could find lecture halls and libraries bustling with the eager minds of medical students. Here, they honed their skills alongside seasoned professionals, engaging in the intricate art of dissection, poring over ancient Greek and Indian medical texts, and refining both their instruments and their intellects. When the scalpels have lost their edge, the obsidian lies in fragments, and the trepanation holes have either mended or remained open. What remains for us to ponder? A strange, captivating, and at times chilling legacy etched deep into the very fabric of history. In the days of yore, the art of surgery was not merely a test of endurance and courage. It was a journey of experimentation, discovery, and an unyielding quest for knowledge. Throughout the tapestry of human experience, a singular thread weaves its way through diverse cultures and distant lands. Throughout the ages, individuals have shown a remarkable readiness to face pain and peril in their quest to mend what is fractured. In the annals of history, we find tales of ancient surgeons who bravely confronted the challenges of their time. Picture a Roman legionary, his leg marred by a deep gash, or an Egyptian farmer battling a painful abscess, and an Inca warrior with a fractured skull. These healers emerged as the last hope where divine intervention, fervent prayers, and nature's remedies had faltered. Against all odds, their skill and determination often led to remarkable successes. Not all things have stood the test of time. Ah, the intriguing concept of the 4 humors vanished. Could it be that malevolent forces are the cause of our ailments? Once upon a time, a chapter came to a close. Could urine serve as an antiseptic? Not interested. Yet the resonance of their ideas continues to shape the landscape of contemporary medicine. In the realm of medical innovation, the Indian rhinoplasty emerged as a pivotal cornerstone, shaping the very essence of reconstructive plastic surgery. On the ancient battlefield, the art of triage transformed, paving the way for the emergence of sophisticated emergency care systems. Chinese anesthesia, a forerunner to contemporary tranquility. Even the instruments employed in Islamic hospitals bear a striking resemblance to the tools found in modern surgical kits. What captivates us about ancient surgery is not merely the bloodshed, but the remarkable creativity behind it. In a time long past, these pioneers faced the daunting challenge of medicine without the aid of microscopes, a grasp of microbes, or the comfort of anesthesia. Yet, with remarkable ingenuity, they crafted solutions that often dazzled the mind. With deft hands, they honed stones into precise scalpels, blended wine and herbs to ease suffering, and forged metal instruments that could easily belong in a 19th century cabinet. One must consider the profound influence of cultural context on the choices made in the realm of surgery. In certain lands, such as India and Persia, the art of surgery was held in high esteem, supported by ethical principles and structured education. In some tales, it emerged as a desperate act, born from the dire needs of the battlefield, or steeped in ancient ritual. In the tapestry of human existence, some civilizations wove threads of spiritual harmony, while others focused on the art of bodily repair. Some prodded, others sought divine intervention, while many engaged in both actions. And yet, lurking behind each triumphant endeavor was a chilling wager. Without antibiotics or numbing agents, simply hold on to hope, perhaps with a few incantations along the way. Before we embark on a journey through spirals, sunbursts, and eagle-winged warriors, let us first encounter the souls behind the ink, the Illyrians. Not a single unified nation, but a vibrant tapestry of fierce, tribal peoples woven throughout the Western Balkans, stretching from the shimmering Adriatic Sea to the majestic Dinaric Alps. In the present day, their territories extend over what we now know as Albania, Montenegro, Kosovo, Bosnia, parts of Croatia, and even further afield. For ages, they captured the imagination of the Greeks, instilled fear in the hearts of the Romans, and seemed to recoil from any form of central control. The Illyrians were not weaving tales of epic poetry or erecting grand marble cities. In the heart of the land, they crafted mighty swords, launched daring raids upon their neighbors, and erected formidable hill forts that loomed over any who dared to approach with ill intent. The Greeks referred to them as barbarians, primarily due to the Illyrians' tendency to bypass courteous diplomacy and go directly for the jugular. Yet, in spite of that reputation, their cultural identity was profoundly vibrant, expressed not through scrolls but through symbols, intricately carved, painted, and tattooed upon their very skin. In the heart of their world, they thrived within closely bonded tribes, each led by a chieftain, steeped in unique customs, and often communicating through their own rich tapestry of symbolic languages. These symbols held deeper meaning. They bore strength, recollection, and significance. For the Illyrians, body art was a profound expression, not merely a trend. It was an intricate tapestry, woven with threads of tribal identity, ritual practice, military status, and perhaps even the whispers of spirituality. In the realm of discovery, the Glazenac burial mounds and Tepes Hill necropolises unveil tales of a bygone era. Here we encounter exquisite jewelry etched with sun motifs, bronze plates that capture the majesty of birds of prey, and pottery embellished with enchanting spirals, each artifact whispering stories of those who once walked this land. Though the skin may not endure through the ages, the voices of ancient authors weave together the missing pieces. Roman and Greek writers, including Pliny the Elder and Strabo, weave tales of the Illyrians and their intriguing use of tattoos, often expressing a blend of admiration and horror in their accounts. They certainly had company in the realm of ink. In the annals of history, numerous ancient warrior societies, such as the Scythians, Thracians, and Celts, embraced the art of tattooing. Yet the Illyrians welcomed it with a fervor unmatched, weaving it into their rituals of transition. The valor of their warriors and the beauty of their women. To fully grasp the essence of Illyrian body art, one must delve deeper than mere observation of their attire. Picture, if you will, the burdens they bore upon their skin: sun wheels, a tribute to their deities; eagle feathers, symbols of bravery; and sacred spirals, resonating with the themes of life, death, and the timeless dance of conflict and renewal. Once upon a time, there existed a vibrant group known as the Illyrians, a people defined by their bold deeds and spirited endeavors. Their tale unfolds not in ink, but in the very essence of bone, bronze, and skin. In a world where words dance upon the tongue and tales are etched into the very earth, every symbol holds profound significance. The Illyrians may not have penned grand tales, yet they wove their narratives through a rich tapestry of visual expression, infusing deep significance into their body art, jewelry, weapons, and ritual artifacts. For them, a spiral transcended mere aesthetics. It embodied the intricate blueprint of life itself. Let us embark on our journey with the spiral. Discovered in the ancient whispers of stone slabs, inscribed upon pottery, and revealed through the artistry unearthed in Illyrian burial sites. The spiral emerged as a captivating motif that echoed through time. What does it signify? Intricately woven into the fabric of existence, these themes dance around the notions of cycles, the journey of life and death, and the perpetual rhythm of renewal, much like the sun's unwavering ascent and descent. In a realm where warriors thrived fiercely and met their fate all too soon, this stood as a reassuring and bold emblem of their spirit. Life has a way of coming back around, and if it's not you, it's surely your descendants who will carry. On the Legacy.next, we encounter the sun disk, a recurring symbol that often graces our tales. In the realm of the Illyrians, the sun held a sacred place, illuminating their lives and guiding their spirits. Behold the solar wheel, a symbol of vitality and divine favor, often adorned with radial lines or encircled by dots, embodying the essence of masculine power. A man adorned with the sun symbol etched upon his chest might not have boasted a chiseled physique, yet he radiated an undeniable cosmic strength nonetheless. Majestic eagles and formidable birds of prey took center stage. These were not mere sparrows. They embodied the essence of conflict, honor, and the sacred bond that links the earth to the heavens. Roman accounts tell us that certain Illyrian tribes, such as the Arda, proudly bore eagle standards into battle. An eagle tattoo, carved in sharp, angular lines, marked a man of stature, or at the very least, someone best approached with caution. Repeatedly, one can observe geometric patterns, zigzags, triangles, and wave-like motifs on artifacts, which were likely reflected in the art of tattoos. These shapes were not mere happenstance. As zigzags could evoke the fierce energy of lightning or the fluidity of water, while the clusters of triangles might tell tales of fertility or the bonds of family lineage. A tattoo on a woman's skin may pay tribute to the essence of motherhood or the bonds of tribal allegiance, while a man's ink could embody the valor of battle or the blessings of the divine. What stands out is the remarkable harmony alongside the rich diversity of the symbols. Some were unmistakably symbols of a tribe, while others held spiritual significance or served as personal totems. Every design spoke volumes. Who you were, what you held dear, and the legacy you wished to leave behind. For the Illyrians, symbols wove the very fabric of their identity. You didn't merely don them, you transformed into them. They were inscribed upon the skin, a declaration of identity, a promise of eternity. Though the Illyrians may not have penned any instruction manuals, the artifacts they left behind softly share their tales through the art of archaeology. And when it comes to body art, that tale unfolds with needles, ash, and a considerable amount of pain. The art of Illyrian tattooing, much like other age-old customs, was undoubtedly a hands-on endeavor that signified a world devoid of buzzing machines and sterile gloves, where sharpened bronze or bone needles danced with rudimentary pigment, guided by a very steady hand. Among the most exquisite manifestations of Illyrian artistry are the intricate bronze pins, which are frequently regarded as fibulae or sewing implements, yet some might have also served the purpose of tattooing tools. And if you believe it's far-fetched to envision a warrior priest applying ash to an open wound with a bronze pin, you clearly haven't encountered the Illyrians. Imagine a rich concoction, a blend of charcoal and soot, perhaps even infused with ground herbs, all melded into a smooth, sticky paste of animal fat or oil, reminiscent of ancient artistry. This endeavor transcended mere completion. It held a deeper, almost sacred meaning. In certain tribes, the sacred ashes from burned totems or ceremonial fires may have been blended into the ink, transforming tattoos into powerful, portable talismans. The journey probably began with a careful puncture or slice of the skin, followed by the gentle rubbing of pigment into the flesh, allowing time for healing, provided that infection didn't intervene first. In the realm of healing, one would find honey, animal fat, or herbal salves, treasures known to the Illyrians, who drew wisdom from their deep bond with nature and the ancient practices of folk medicine. Yet these tattoos were not crafted by mere chance dot in the sacred moments of life. They were likely bestowed during ceremonies or rites of passage, transformative events where a boy claimed his first kill, a woman stepped into the bonds of marriage, or a warrior ascended in rank. Some tattoos may have been forged through trials, transforming a scar into something sacred once the ink embraced it. Pain wasn't merely a side effect. It was woven into the very fabric of the experience, and not everyone was granted access to it. In ancient times, the art of tattooing was perhaps reserved for the elite, the valiant warriors, and those who held spiritual significance, creating a tapestry of inked nobility. In certain tribes, it might have flourished, serving to mark the identities of clans or family lineages, akin to the way tartans or totems functioned in other ancient cultures. In the realm of the Illyrians, conflict was not merely a fleeting disturbance. It was woven into the very fabric of existence. Clans clashed over territory, for pride, for retribution, and occasionally simply because the day demanded it. In this harsh realm, the warriors stood out, their identities etched upon them, unmistakable, enduring, and worn with honor. Tattoos were not mere embellishments. They were bold declarations. Picture a fierce warrior, bare-chested upon a rugged hilltop, marked by scars and kissed by the sun, with the silhouette of a sun wheel or eagle wing etched across his chest. That wasn't mere ink for show. It was the very essence of identity, brought to life. It revealed to his foes the origins of his journey, the trials he had faced, and the lengths he would traverse in the heat of conflict. Not in a realm devoid of written words, your very skin served as your testament. As recounted by Roman sources, such as Pliny the Elder, numerous Illyrian tribes adorned their bodies with tattoos, a practice steeped in significance beyond mere beauty, serving as a rite of passage into the esteemed realm of warriors. A spiral carved into the arm could signify the first battle endured, a majestic eagle perched upon the back, a testament to a warrior's ascent within the tribal hierarchy. Tattoos served as vibrant emblems of life, not merely displayed on a wall, but pulsating with stories that flowed with every movement. In the tapestry of history, one can find traces of designs that spoke of clan allegiance, each marking a warrior's lineage and the essence of their tribe. This was more than a display of culture. It served a purpose. In the midst of a tumultuous battlefield, the ability to discern ally from adversary held great significance. What transpired following the clash? A tattoo could serve as a bridge, guiding a soul back to its kin, or unraveling the tale of why it never found its way back home. The positioning of these tattoos was equally deliberate. Chest and shoulders signify honor, while arms and hands represent valor in combat. The back could be adorned with emblems of sacred guardianship, maybe sun discs or thunderbirds, invoking the blessings of heavenly deities. Indeed, it is likely that some Illyrian warriors adorned their faces with tattoos, a practice meant to instill fear in their foes or to pay homage to the divine. Picture the scene: a formidable opponent, their cheekbones etched with the very essence of thunder, as if they had captured the storm itself. One might pause and reconsider. Yet it was not solely a tale of triumph. Tattoos wove tales of punishment or penance. A fallen warrior may bear a mark of disgrace, a small, indelible symbol that cannot be concealed. In a realm where the written word held the power to lift you to great heights, or serve as a constant reminder of your shortcomings. Every glance in the mirror told a tale of triumph or defeat. When we envision the tattoos of ancient times, we can easily imagine battle-hardened warriors adorned with intricate spirals and fierce eagle talons. Yet, within the realm of the Illyrians, the tales of women were etched upon their very skin. Those tattoos held deeper meanings, woven into the very fabric of their lives. They embodied a profound essence, intertwined with the threads of community, and rich in meaning. In certain Illyrian tribes, the art of tattooing marked a significant journey for girls, particularly as they approached the milestones of puberty or marriage. These were not mere coincidences or delicate embellishments. These were revered symbols, handed down through the ages, with every stroke narrating a tale of ancestry, purpose, and strength. In the realm of discovery, artifacts such as bronze mirror cases, spindle whorls, and jewelry adorned with intricate designs of triangles, sunbursts, and flowing lines tell a tale of beauty and adornment. These patterns echo the artistry that scholars suggest once graced the arms, legs, and faces of women, weaving a narrative of history and culture through time. One prevalent theme was the triangle, frequently arranged in patterns that likely symbolized fertility, femininity, and the sacred cycle of existence. There are those who hold the belief that these tattoos acted as guardians during the sacred act of childbirth, repelling malevolent spirits and calling forth the blessings of the tribal deities, the revered goddesses of earth, moon, and water. Indeed, face tattoos, yes, face, might have been a prevalent practice among Illyrian women from specific tribes. Small blemishes around the eyes, on the chin, or along the brow were not indicators of defiance. They represented the essence of cultural pride, the allure of beauty, or the weight of status. Roman writers, often perplexed or scornful of the ways of the barbarians, sometimes spoke of the vividly adorned women of the Balkans, their ink portrayed, as something exotic, untamed, or steeped in tribal mystique. Yet, tattoos transcended mere aesthetics or cultural customs. They might serve as symbols of sorrow, devotion, or retribution. A widow may choose to etch a symbol of her grief upon her skin, perhaps a fractured sun or a spiraled coil, while others might carry ink that signifies promises made in blood. The skin transformed into a canvas of unspoken tales, particularly in a culture where the echoes of spoken memory held greater significance than the marks of written history. And it reached far beyond the confines of the elite. There are whispers of evidence that common women, particularly those from hill tribes, adorned their skin with simpler tattoos, possibly symbols of family loyalty or the presence of local deities. In the midst of it all, the priestesses and spiritual healers adorned themselves with intricate designs, transforming their bodies into vibrant talismans that channeled the essence of the divine. For the Illyrians, tattooing transcended mere social or decorative purposes. It was a profound expression of their spirituality. In a realm where deities resided in flowing rivers, towering mountains, and roaring thunder, each mark upon the skin held the promise of harnessing celestial power. The ink flowed like a sacred rite, and the body stood as the revered altar. While the essence of Illyrian religion has been pieced together from remnants, burial mounds, grave goods, and the accounts of Roman observers, it is clear that they revered a blend of nature deities, solar gods, and tribal spirits, with their tattoos serving as a vivid expression of this animistic perspective. Spirals weave a tale of eternity and the cosmos, while birds carry the essence of the soul in flight. To be tattooed was not merely a matter of style. It was a way to harmonize with the very fabric of the universe. In the ancient world, it is said that tattoos adorned the skin during vibrant seasonal festivals or sacred initiation rites, guided by the wisdom of tribal shamans or priestesses. These were moments filled with vibrant energy and life. In the heart of the community, vibrant public ceremonies unfolded, alive with the rhythms of drumming, the echoes of chanting, and the profound expressions of ritual pain. The act of bleeding emerged as a sacred element of the offering. Through the crucible of suffering, a bridge emerged linking the mortal realm to the celestial. Some symbols might have been set aside exclusively for individuals who had embarked on a journey of spiritual training. Imagine a healer adorned with the sacred mark of the earth goddess, their arm wrapped in a series of protective bands, each one a shield against the lurking, malevolent spirits. Before embarking on their fierce battles, warriors would be bestowed with sacred symbols, not merely to uplift their spirits, but as enchanted armor, tangible tokens of their unwavering allegiance to the divine. Whispers of intrigue surround the notion that tattoos may have woven themselves into the fabric of funerary practices. In the shadowy depths of Illyrian necropolises, the remains of the departed are frequently accompanied by objects steeped in meaning. Reflective surfaces, avian symbols, solar ornaments. Had the skin endured, it could have unveiled a tapestry of ink, crafted to usher the departed into the realm beyond or to convey their standing to the forebears. In certain tribes, there exists a belief that only those adorned with tattoos can journey into the spirit realm without facing any obstacles. Everyone else was just a ghost dot. It is possible that the materials used for tattooing carried a deeper, ritualistic meaning. The remnants of sacred flames, or the vibrant hues blended with herbs consecrated beneath the luminous full moon, transcended mere antiseptics. They were infused with a profound spiritual essence. The boundary separating medicine, magic, and art was as delicate as a whisper. Among the Illyrians, a tattoo held a power that no scroll or passport could ever match. It revealed the essence of your being to all. In a community where allegiance flowed stronger than any decree, one's standing, title, and lineage were frequently etched upon the very surface of their being. Every Illyrian tribe boasted a unique and vibrant visual culture. Symbols, designs, and themes that defined their champions, their guides, and their family. A graceful sun design may represent one clan, while a jagged mountain emblem could signify another. These marks transcended the personal. They were the very signatures of a tribe, a vivid representation of self in a divided, conflict-ridden landscape. For the distinguished leaders, aristocrats, and valiant warriors, tattoos could act as symbols of power. A man adorned with intricate spirals, radiant sunbursts, and fierce eagle talons was not merely displaying art. He was sharing tales of his triumphs, lineage, and standing in the world with every person he encountered. These marks served as distinctive emblems, each one a unique symbol, instantly capturing attention and conveying meaning. Women of elevated standing likely adorned themselves with elaborate designs. Tattoos meticulously arranged in rows or mirrored patterns across their forearms or collarbones, each marking a story of fertility, spiritual blessings, or noble heritage. Some motifs probably revealed a woman's ties to a priestess class, tribal oracle, or healer lineage. Rank was not solely reserved for those who fought in battle. In the tapestry of human connection, there lies compelling evidence of kinship tattoos, simple symbols woven through families, signifying a bond of belonging. Envision it as a timeless legacy, one that is unyielding, apparent, and intricately intertwined with legend. In the heat of conflict or the journey of existence, it proclaimed to those around, "I carry this lineage," and that could either be your salvation or your doom. The significance of placement cannot be overstated. Upper arms and chests served as a canvas for warriors, showcasing their might and the tales of their triumphs. Facial tattoos held a significant place, adorned by those of sacred or social stature, worn with a sense of pride and never taken lightly. A symbol etched upon the hand could signify a devoted guardian of this clan, while a mark gracing the back may denote a role of protection, or perhaps serve as a poignant reminder of a personal vow. In the midst of battles and alliances, these symbols stood firm, weaving a tapestry of heritage that reminded all of their origins, regardless of how the landscape transformed. In a realm where the essence of self was perpetually challenged by conflict and the struggle for existence, the markings upon your skin could convey tales more profound than any spoken language. As the Romans advanced into Illyrian lands, they did not merely bring their legions to conquer. They carried with them a profound and transformative perspective on the world. To the discerning Roman gaze, the body art of the Illyrians appeared as a curious blend of savage ritual and mystical sorcery. As was often the case with the unfamiliar, their response was a complex tapestry woven from threads of disdain, trepidation, and an undeniable intrigue. In the accounts of Roman historians such as Strabo and Pliny the Elder, the Illyrians emerge as fierce figures, their bodies adorned with intricate tattoos that tell tales of their wild and untamed nature, branding them as outsiders to the civilized world. It was quite ironic, considering a culture that reveled in public executions and donned wolf pelts for amusement. Yet Illyrian tattoos emerged as a striking visual marker that distinguished these individuals, and not in a favorable light. To the esteemed circles of Rome, the adornment of the body was regarded with disdain. In their realm, tattoos bore the weight of stigma, linked to criminals, slaves, and soldiers, rather than to the esteemed warriors or the noble class. As the Illyrian territories were absorbed, one of the earliest cultural losses was the art of tattooing. It faced disapproval, was stifled, and in certain instances, completely forbidden. Yet the act of erasure was never quite so straightforward. In the Balkans, Roman soldiers often embraced the local ways, including the art of tattooing. In the annals of history, one can find traces of Illyrian auxiliaries who, while donning the Romang Larica, chose to retain their tribal markings. These symbols etched upon their skin spoke of a loyalty that transcended the armor they wore, echoing the tales of their heritage amidst the grandeur of the Roman legions. In the shadows, Illyrian women probably kept the flame alive, weaving tales of symbols and meanings that endured long after Rome sought to extinguish them. The essence of cultural memory is tenacious, and tattoos, particularly those crafted in secrecy by hand, embody that stubbornness even further. In a twist of fate, as the reach of Rome expanded, a transformed iteration of Illyrian body art began to flourish alongside it. In certain corners of the Balkan region, where the echoes of ancient traditions linger, some Romanized communities embraced the art of tattooing. This practice, rich with spiritual significance and a mark of tribal identity, was expressed with a refined touch, weaving a narrative of heritage and belonging into their skin. Though the original meanings may have dimmed, the drive, the yearning to etch tales and identity onto the skin, endured. What started as a revered proclamation gradually transformed into a clash of cultures. Tattoos slipped into the shadows, concealed from the watchful eyes of Rome, yet their essence lingered in the whispers of memory. Even centuries later, the whispers of Illyrian designs found their way back into the fabric of life, woven into folk embroidery, ceremonial attire, and cherished family motifs, passed down from skin to fabric, from one generation to the next. Though the Illyrian tribes faded into the annals of time, subdued, absorbed, and dispersed, their stories lingered on. It journeyed, evolved, and resonated through the ages, leaving behind delicate traces in the Balkans that persist to this day. Though the Illyrians no longer roam the earth, their essence lingers on, woven into the fabric of Albanian folk costumes, traditional jewelry, stone carvings, and even the ink of tattoos. Indeed, contemporary tattoo artists in Albania, Kosovo, and Bosnia have embarked on a journey to revive ancient Illyrian design spirals, eagles, suns, and geometric bands, infusing them with a sense of pride and reclaiming them as symbols of cultural identity. In certain remote areas of Albania, The tradition of women's face tattoos endured well into the 20th century. Faint and worn by the passage of time, these marks, small crosses, stars, or spirals have been lovingly passed down through the ages, carried by the whispers of those who came before. For the women who brought them into the world, the significance was seldom ornamental. They stood as guardians, steeped in tradition and lineage, echoing the ways of their forebears from millennia past. Beyond the realm of tattoos, Illyrian symbols have woven themselves into the fabric of contemporary state iconography. Behold the Albanian double-headed eagle, soaring majestically upon the national flag, a vivid reminder of ancient Illyrian motifs. This emblem of predatory birds embodies strength, vision, and a touch of divine authority, weaving a tale of heritage and pride. Scholars debate the journey of the eagle symbol, pondering if it emerged straight from Illyria or meandered through Byzantine heraldry. Yet, for countless Albanias, it stands as a direct link to their rich cultural legacy. In today's world, particularly among the youth of the Balkans seeking connections to their heritage beyond the remnants of Roman structures and Ottoman influences, Illyrian imagery has emerged as a vibrant revival within the subculture. In the also vibrant tapestry of creativity, artists, musicians, and scholars weave Illyrian designs into the fabric of fashion, the allure of album covers, the grandeur of murals, and the innovation of digital art. What was once hidden within burial mounds now finds its voice on T-shirts and is etched across chests, not merely as adornment, but as a powerful act of reclamation. The flame of academic interest is flickering back to life. In a captivating journey through time, archaeologists and historians unveil artifacts adorned with striking body art motifs, while linguists embark on the quest to trace Illyrian names and words woven into the tapestry of regional dialects. As the tapestry of DNA technology weaves itself further, the threads connecting us to Illyrian populations are being unraveled, revealing fresh layers to ancient tales. Though the original meanings may lie hidden beneath the weight of centuries marked by conquest, suppression, and the ebb and flow of culture, one truth shines through with clarity. The Illyrian tradition of marking the body as a declaration of identity, honor, and belonging has endured through the ages. It patiently awaited the arrival of the next generation, eager for their ears to embrace its tale. And when they did, they didn't inscribe it in books. They poured it in ink, just as their forebears had done. In the year 1485, in the quaint town of Medellin, nestled within the kingdom of Castile, a figure emerged, Hernan Cortes. He arrived without the trappings of nobility, devoid of an army or land, yet fueled by an insatiable ambition and a remarkable talent for defying the established order. Once there was a thin, restless boy who found himself at the University of Salamanca, destined to study law. In the hallowed halls, he absorbed just enough Latin and legal theory to spark his boredom, ultimately leading him to abandon his studies. Spain, indeed, overflowed with narratives of uncharted lands, ancient civilizations, and treasures beyond belief waiting across the Atlantic. Why delve into ancient legal texts when you could seize a kingdom? In the year 1504, a young adventurer of just 19 years embarked on a journey to the New World, making landfall on the shores of Hispaniola, a Spanish stronghold nestled in the Caribbean. He swiftly wove himself into the fabric of colonial society, acquiring land, overseeing enslaved laborers, and amassing political influence. In the year 1511, he allied himself with Diego Velázquez in the fierce conquest of Cuba, carving out a name for himself through acts of bravery, cleverness, and a perilous inclination to challenge authority. He was granted riches and power, yet his desires reached far beyond, yearning for even greater treasures. In the year 1518, whispers danced through the air of a grand empire lying just beyond the western horizon. Opulent metropolises, avian champions, and treasures stacked high as kindling dot in a twist of fate. Velázquez, the newly appointed governor of Cuba, found himself in a position he never desired as he appointed Cortes to embark on an expedition to uncover the mysteries and trade opportunities along the shores of Mexico. As Cortes readied his vessels, Velázquez found himself plagued by doubt and decided to rescind the command. In true Cortes style, he brushed him aside. In the chill of February 1519, he set forth on a daring voyage, commanding 11 ships, 500 brave soldiers, 100 skilled sailors, 16 noble steeds, and a formidable stockpile of gunpowder, driven by an insatiable thirst for adventure. From the very beginning, Cortes had no desire to barter beads for coconuts. With a burning desire for triumph, he crafted a cunning scheme, a tapestry woven with threads of diplomacy, cunning, fervent belief, and savage brutality. What was it that he sought to achieve? Beyond mere gold lies the promise of glory and a coveted title within the esteemed ranks of the Spanish crown. The man was not a mere brute clad in armor. He was a cunning figure, able to win over local chieftains with his silver tongue one moment, and unleash devastation upon their lands the next. Cortes, unlike many of his companions, perceived the indigenous civilizations not as mere obstacles, but as intricate systems ripe for exploitation, infiltration, and manipulation against themselves. As he set foot on the Yucatan Peninsula, Hernán Cortes found himself captivated by visions of emperors, majestic pyramids, and the allure of treasure. The era of discovery had come to a close. The era of conquest was upon us, with Cortes leading the charge. Upon Hernán Cortes' arrival on the Yucatan Peninsula, in the early days of 1519, there was no grand welcome awaiting him. Upon his arrival, a flurry of arrows met him. The Maya, battle-hardened and resilient from past encounters with Spanish invaders, felt a sense of unease at the sight of yet more pale men armed with steel and mounted on horses. The initial meetings spiraled into chaos and bloodshed in no time. In the sweltering heat, clashes erupted, where the thunder of Spanish guns met the sharp precision of obsidian-tipped spears. Yet amidst these clashes, Cortes discovered a treasure, far beyond mere gold. Once upon a time, there existed a treasure trove of knowledge. In time, he discovered a sprawling empire to the west, governed by a king named Moctezuma, who reigned over a treasure-laden city that dwarfed anything Spain had ever encountered. Once upon a time, there existed an empire, a civilization known as the Aztecs, and at the heart of it all lay a coveted prize, intertwining their destinies in a tale of grandeur and ambition. In these initial meetings, Cortes also gained two vital resources. Once upon a time, there was a Spanish castaway named Geronimo de Aguilar. He had endured years in the heart of Maya territory, mastering the local languages with remarkable fluency. Secondly, and of even greater significance, there was a young woman named Malintzin, who came to be known to the Spanish as La Malinche. With a remarkable talent for languages and a sharp eye for detail, she mastered Nahuatl, the tongue of the Aztecs, swiftly earning her place as Cortes' trusted advisor, interpreter, and companion. Through her, Cortes acquired not merely words, but a formidable strength. Equipped with these linguistic instruments, Cortes embarked on his true conquest, not through blades, but through cunning strategy. As he journeyed along the coastline, he came upon the Totonacs, a people burdened by the heavy tribute demands of the Aztecs. Recognizing a chance, Cortes extended his hand for protection, and in exchange, the Totonacs provided warriors, sustenance, and insights into their land. It marked the beginning of numerous indigenous alliances that would play a pivotal role in his campaign. In a bold display of unwavering determination, Cortes executed the most striking act of his life. He hastily dismantled his vessels, setting them ablaze, sending them to the depths. In every rendition, the message resonated unmistakably. There was no path to retreat. His men were destined to either achieve victory or meet their fate in the attempt. In a land that was not their own, the Spanish found themselves as intruders, encircled by mysterious foes, strange ailments, and the grandeur of mighty empires. Yet, Cortes possessed a unique advantage over his foes: a fractured political arena ripe for manipulation, an insatiable thirst for glory, and a strategic mind that approached warfare as if it were a game of chess. The journey to conquer the Aztec Empire would not begin in Tenochtitlan. In the heart of the Yucatan jungles, a tale began to unfold, woven with blood, forged alliances, and a translator whose influence would alter the destinies of entire continents. With his vessels in ruins and his crew fully devoted, Hernan Cortes ventured deeper toward the vibrant core of the Aztec Empire, the legendary city of Tenochtitlan. Yet the journey was not merely a march. It unfolded as a dramatic tapestry woven with threads of cunning, sacrifice, and treachery. His initial significant challenge and chance lay with the Tlaxcalans, formidable warriors of the mountains who had stood against Aztec rule for countless generations. In the beginning, they confronted the Spanish with their spears, slings, and an unwavering spirit of battle. The clash was fierce. The thunderous roar of Cortes' muskets and the thundering hooves of cavalry unleashed a storm of chaos. Yet the Tlaxcalans stood resolute, unyielding in their defiance. In a moment of dire straits, the Spanish found themselves outnumbered, weary, and on the brink of being completely overrun. And then, in a twist of fate, Cortes extended an olive branch, offering them peace, harmony, and an opportunity for retribution. The Tlaxcalans, recognizing in Cortes a means to strike at their Aztec rulers, agreed to his alliance. Though their trust in him was lacking, their disdain for Moctezuma burned brighter. The bond was crafted through sacrifice, granting Cortes a gift that Spain could never offer. Countless indigenous warriors, masters of their land, adept in the intricacies of politics, and deeply attuned to the spirit of the Aztec people. With the backing of the Tlaxcalans, Cortes set his sights on Cholula, a city of great wealth and spiritual significance. Yet, a twist of fate intervened. In a twist of fate, whether it was a cunning ambush or a signal lost in translation, Cortes commanded a tragic slaughter. With fervor and determination, the Spanish soldiers, alongside their Tlaxcalan allies, surged into the city, unleashing chaos as they confronted the nobles and priests, leading to a tragic and bloody outcome. Flames consumed the sacred halls. The message resonated clearly: conform or face the consequences. And then arrived the moment that Moctezuma could no longer overlook. As Cortes drew near to Tenochtitlan, he beheld the Venice of the New World, a mesmerizing city afloat, adorned with radiant temples, winding canals, and sturdy stone causeways. Constructed in the heart of Lake Texcoco, it was a marvel beyond the imagination of the Spanish explorers. In a twist of fate, Cortes found himself embraced by those he encountered. Moctezuma, caught in a web of doubt about whether Cortes was a mere mortal or a divine being, extended an invitation for him to enter the city. As the Spanish arrived, they were welcomed with open arms. Yet Cortes harbored a different plan altogether. In a masterful twist of fate, he ensnared Moctezuma within the very walls of his own palace, orchestrating a coup that unfolded without a single drop of blood, driven by the potent forces of diplomacy and fear. Cortes had entered the heart of the empire, weaving his influence from the very core. He didn't merely take control. He set about unraveling the very spiritual fabric that held the Aztec world together. Temples met with desecration, idols shattered, and in their stead, crosses rose high. Cortes was not merely engaged in battle. He was dismantling a civilization, piece by piece, deity by deity. As the hands of time moved forward, a sense of urgency filled the air. In a city alive with tension. The Spanish presence was sparse, yet the watchful eyes of its inhabitants sensed the stirrings of defiance lurking. In the shadows, Hernan Cortes had achieved the unimaginable. He had captured the very essence of the Aztec Empire without a grand confrontation, yet maintaining control over a city of 200,000 souls with merely a handful of Spaniards and a few tribal allies. Seemed like a tale spun from dreams. The delicate facade of control was beginning to splinter, and it required only the slightest nudge to bring it crashing down. As Cortes orchestrated his grand design in Tenochtitlan, shadows of unrest began to gather in his wake. On the shores, a rival Spanish expedition, dispatched by Diego Velázquez, arrived with the intent to confront him over his insubordination. Cortes entrusted the capital to his loyal lieutenant, Pedro de Alvarado, as he set forth to confront the looming threat. He vanquished the newcomers, welcomed their warriors into his fold, and made his way back, only to discover the city engulfed in turmoil. What is the reason behind this? Alvarado, in true conquistador fashion, unleashed a brutal massacre upon unarmed Aztec nobles amidst the sacred atmosphere of a religious festival. In the sacred embrace of the temple courtyard, a tragic tale unfolded as thousands met their untimely fate. Crimson stained the sacred stones. It was a slight that could not be overlooked, igniting the spark of a rebellion that would engulf everything in its path. Tenochtitlan erupted with fervor. In the heart of the city, the Spanish found themselves ensnared within the palace walls, surrounded by a world that had slipped from their grasp. The streets transformed into battlegrounds, bridges lifted into the air, while stones, arrows, and fury cascaded from above. Court Eacutsius returned with reinforcements, yet the moment had slipped away from him. Moctezuma, the once mighty emperor of Var, the Aztecs, now found himself ensnared by the very hospitality he offered, and in the end, he met his demise. Versions vary. Whispers linger that he met his end at the hands of those he once called allies, driven to fury by what they perceived as his frailty. Some say that the Spanish took his life when he became too much of a burden. In either case, his passing signified the close of negotiations and the dawn of devastation. Cortes found himself with no option but to escape. In the stillness of the night on June 30th, 1520, the Spanish embarked on a frantic flight across the causeways. In the stillness of the moment, the Aztecs held their breath, anticipation hanging thick in the air. A great multitude of Spaniards and countless Tlaxcalan allies met a tragic fate, their lives extinguished in a brutal massacre. Soldiers heavy with gold descended into the depths of the lake. That fateful night would echo through the ages as La Noche Triste, a night steeped in sorrow. Cortes narrowly evaded death's grasp. Wounded, shamed, and defeated, he made his way back to Tlaxcala. Yet he remained unbroken. He would gather his thoughts once more. And when he returned, it would be as someone who belonged, not as a mere visitor or an unwelcome presence. It would take on the role of a harbinger of ruin. The empire had spilled its crimson essence. Now Cortes would come back with flames of fury. In the wake of the calamity known as La Noche Triste, Hernan Cortes took actions that would leave many in awe. He returned with renewed strength. Withdrawing to Tlaxcala, he gathered his forces anew, not solely with Spaniards, but alongside countless indigenous allies. For every foe Cortes encountered, he discovered two more who loathed the burden of the Aztec rule. He promised retribution, freedom, and a share of the spoils. It came to fruition. He crafted vessels of the sea? Indeed, vessels, pulling them apart from the Gulf Coast, navigating through dense jungles and scaling mountains, only to piece them back together on the shores of Lake Texcoco. In the realm of ancient civilizations, the Aztecs held dominion over the waters, weaving their legacy through the currents and tides. Court Eacute S was now preparing to confront them upon the waves. It was a wild scheme, one that could only succeed in the hands of someone driven by desperation, brilliance, or perhaps a delightful mix of both. In the month of May in the year 1521, the great siege of Tenochtitlan commenced. Courts severed the aqueducts and disrupted the supply routes. A realm where water embraced the land, the city transformed into a desolate isle, plagued by hunger. His brigantines, formidable Spanish warships armed with cannons, glided through the canals, laying waste to the Aztec canoes that dared to cross their path. With each step, the Spanish and their allies advanced through the city, leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. Yet the Aztecs did not fade into silence. With Cuauhtémoc at the helm, the nephew of Moctezuma and the newly crowned emperor, the Aztecs unleashed their fierce spirit in battle. They set cunning traps, orchestrated surprise ambushes, and stood resolute in their refusal to yield. The struggle unfolded as a relentless battle of endurance and total destruction. Great edifices of worship fell, their grandeur lost to time. Markets transformed into arenas of conflict. Illness, hunger, and flames completed the tale. In the midst of it all, a single infected Spanish slave brought forth smallpox, unleashing a devastating wave that swept through the population. The epidemic achieved what neither steel nor gunpowder could ever accomplish. It swept through the land, leaving no stone unturned, as it claimed the lives of both valiant warriors and devoted priests. It is believed that countless souls perished long before they laid eyes on a Spanish blade. On the fateful day of August 13th, 1521, after a grueling 93 days of relentless siege, the once great city of Tenochtitlan lay in ashes, a haunting testament to its former glory. In a moment of desperation, Cuauhtémoc found himself ensnared, attempting to escape across the shimmering expanse of the lake. He stood before courts, a figure of pride and defiance, yet tinged with the weight of defeat. And in that fleeting moment, the grand tapestry of the Aztec Empire unraveled into the annals of history. Courts stepped into the broken city, not merely as a guest, but as its master. He transformed the tapestry of alliances and daring maneuvers into one of history's most captivating military triumphs. Yet, he did more than merely bring down a sovereign. He brought an entire civilization to its knees. Temples lay in ruins, scrolls consumed by flames. From the ashes, a vibrant new capital, Mexico City, would emerge. And what of courts? He had claimed an empire, yet the ground was soaked in crimson. Amidst the ruins of Tenochtitlan, Hernán Cortes surveyed the remnants of a once mighty empire, standing resolute above the smoldering ashes. Yet the journey of triumph was merely the beginning. With the dawn of colonization, Cortes was driven by a fervent desire to mold the Aztec realm into a reflection of Spain. Once upon a time, the city embraced a new name, Mexico Tenochtitlan, and in due course it became simply known as Mexico City, swiftly rising to prominence as the heart of New Spain. In a time long past, where sacred temples honored Huitzilopochtli and Quetzalcoatl, there now emerged grand Catholic cathedrals, constructed, in a most literal sense, from the very stones of the ancient deities. The Spanish were not merely changing leaders, they were reshaping the very fabric of existence. That Court Eacute S moved with remarkable speed. He bestowed encomiendas, land grants accompanied by the labor of indigenous people. Though Spain referred to it as a system of protection and conversion, the reality was that it amounted to slavery in every sense. But the name. Those former Aztec nobles who chose to cooperate were bestowed with minor titles, a gesture of recognition for their allegiance. Those who dared to oppose were hushed, never to speak again. The resilient souls of Tenochtitlan endured the harsh trials of forced labor, the grip of disease, the pangs of famine, and the unyielding tide of Christianization in the midst of unfolding events. The Spanish crown found itself facing a dilemma. Cortes, a bold figure of ambition, cast aside orders, sank his ships, ignited a war, and forged an empire, all without the blessing of royalty. He crafted his own title of Marquis, shared riches as if he were royalty, and established a unique interpretation of justice de son. He was a champion of the people, while to others he was a bold and reckless outcast. In the heart of Spain, the monarchy dispatched a cadre of inspectors, clerics, and rival officials to delve into the matter at hand. Cortes received a call to return and stand trial, and while he held on to certain honors and titles, the crown's trust in him was forever shaken as the tides of power shifted. His hold on New Spain gradually waned, yielding to the resurgence of royal authority. Yet the harm had already been inflicted. In the unfolding chapters of history, countless indigenous souls would meet their fate, primarily at the hands of disease, yet also through the ravages of war, the burdens of forced labor, and the erasure of their rich cultures. Entire cities disappeared, tongues slipped into oblivion. What lingered was a tapestry woven from threads of Spanish and indigenous cultures, forever transformed. Cortes embarked on daring expeditions into Central America, driven by a relentless quest to uncover new kingdoms ripe for conquest and to restore his waning influence. Yet he could never replicate the glory of Tenochtitlan. He came back to Spain, wealth in hand, yet found himself on the fringes of power, a figure of resentment entangled in lawsuits, and gradually fading from memory. Yet the mark he made on the world was indelible. As the mighty Aztecs fell, Cortes unleashed a torrent of change upon the land. Adventurers, missionaries, and pioneers surged into the Americas, each in pursuit of wealth, fame, or faith. He didn't merely seize a city. He transformed an entire continent, leaving an indelible mark for all time. As the Aztec Empire crumbled beneath the weight of flames and blades, the tale of the Maya unfolded in a distinctly different manner. Hernan Cortes may have triumphed over Tenochtitlan, yet as he shifted his focus southeast to the Mayan lowlands, he found himself facing a far more intricate challenge than a solitary city-state, a tangled web of kingdoms, dense jungles, and unwavering resistance. In the year 1524, fueled by dreams of wealth and whispers of splendor hidden beyond the mountains, Cortes embarked on a daring expedition into the lands that we now know as Honduras and Guatemala. It was meant to be swift, a mere brush with victory, another trophy to adorn his already bloodied legacy. Instead, it transformed into a journey across a nightmarish landscape. In the heart of the jungles, where the foliage thickened and the rivers twisted with a mind of their own, danger lurked in every shadow, and foes slipped through the underbrush like whispers on the wind. Cortes found himself not against a singular empire, but amidst a tapestry of Maya city-states, each vibrant with its own rulers, languages, and deep-seated rivalries. And they stood their ground. In the annals of history, the Maya emerged as formidable warriors. Even as the classic-era cities dimmed by the 9th century, numerous realms retained their valiant militaries, strongholds, and a rich legacy of guerrilla resistance. They struck at the heart of supply lines, launching surprise attacks from the shadows of the trees, then vanished into the embrace of the canopy. In contrast to the Aztecs, who adhered to ceremonial rules in their approach to warfare, the Maya engaged in battles with the intent to wear down, bewilder, and torment their adversaries. Victory in battles was not their aim. Their true strength lay in enduring the relentless tide of their invaders. Cortes wove a tapestry of temporary alliances, instilled fear in some towns to bend them to his will, and rallied others to his cause. Yet amidst each triumph, he faced the heart-wrenching toll of disease, starvation, and the shadows of mutiny claiming his men. His own soldiers started to doubt the wisdom of his decisions. In a moment that would haunt him forever, he found himself compelled to arrest and execute those who once stood by his side, their betrayal echoing through the dense jungle around them. The Maya campaign bore minimal fruit. Cortes ventured into Honduras, striving to establish Spanish supremacy over certain lands, yet he never fully subdued the Maya civilization. Indeed, certain Maya cities remained unconquered until the late 1600s, well over a century after the passing of Cortes. In the heart of the jungle, amidst the fragmentation, the Maya emerged as a testament to resilience, standing as one of the longest-enduring indigenous powers in the Americas. For Cortes, the journey unfolded as a poignant echo of past trials. Not every realm meets its end in the dramatic fashion of Tenochtitlan. He had toppled an empire, yet the Maya, entwined with vines, stone, and the whispers of the past, would not fade away so readily as Hernan Cortes ventured into the Americas. Armed with muskets, swords, and cavalry, the true force that shaped his conquest was an unseen adversary, disease, a weapon beyond his grasp. Long before the last Aztec warriors met their fate, the silent harbingers of smallpox, measles, and influenza had already set in motion a tragic tale of loss. In the year 1520, a tale unfolds as the first smallpox outbreak makes its way to Mexico, brought forth by an infected African servant who journeyed alongside one of the Spanish ships. From that moment forth, the course of the conquest transformed entirely. The Aztecs were warriors of steel, defenders against the weight of imposed beliefs, yet they found themselves powerless against an unseen force, an enigma that eluded their grasp and comprehension. In the span of a year, smallpox ravaged Tenochtitlan, sapping the strength of its defenders just as Cortes made his fateful return to besiege the city. Whole families perished within the confines of their own homes. In a matter of weeks, the very pillars of the empire, the priests, the generals, and the city leaders who wove the fabric of its existence, fell one by one. The affliction did not merely claim lives. It fractured the very fabric of society, eroded spirits, and dismantled resilience. As the Spanish ventured further into the heart of Mesoamerica, the tale unfolded once more. In lands untouched by Cortes, countless souls perished. Some estimates tell us that within a century of contact, as many as 90% of the indigenous population of the Americas vanished, not through the clash of arms, but through relentless waves of European plagues. Entire cities transformed into echoes of their former selves, all without a single Spanish blade being unsheathed. And disease didn't merely take lives. It transformed the very fabric of existence. In a time of upheaval, the brave souls left their familiar abodes, cast aside their cherished customs, and turned their hopes toward the unknown deities for guidance. In the midst of turmoil, the plagues were seen by many as a sign from above, a divine retribution that missionaries seized upon, presenting baptism as the key to salvation. In this manner, Christianity did not merely come bearing crosses and sermons. It surged forth on a tide of biological catastrophe. Cortes grasped the significance of seizing the moment. He witnessed the impact of smallpox on the Aztecs, a sight that would linger in his mind before his next attack. Yet the lasting impacts reached far deeper than mere tactics. A relentless wave of disease swept through, thinning the ranks of the labor force, unraveling agricultural systems, and wiping away a rich tapestry of languages, rituals, and oral histories. In the quiet shadows, entire cultures faded away, leaving behind no final battle, no towering tribute, no heartfelt farewell. Ultimately, Cortes' conquest unfolded as more than a mere saga of ambition and conflict. It intertwined with a grander narrative, The Columbian Exchange was not merely a transfer of horses and gold. It carried with it the weight of plagues, and the toll it took was beyond measure. The blade might have laid waste to empires, yet it was the unseen scourge that brought entire civilizations to their knees. In the year 1547, Hernan Cortes met. His end, an old man steeped in bitterness, fading into the shadows of the empire he once helped to forge. Once celebrated as the conqueror who brought down the Aztec Empire, he found his later years consumed by legal battles, adversaries, and the relentless march of time that threatened to overshadow his legacy. He had claimed an empire, indeed, yet found himself adrift in its vastness. Spain advanced, and Cortes, once its most daring conqueror, transformed into an uncomfortable emblem of all that it both revered and dreaded. His legacy unfolds as a paradox etched into the annals of time. In the annals of history, particularly within the pages of ancient Spanish chronicles, he emerges as a brilliant commander, a pious warrior whose mission was to usher in civilization to those deemed savage. To many, he was a relentless conqueror, a figure whose relentless drive resulted in widespread slaughter, the erasure of cultures, and the downfall of one of the most advanced societies of the ancient era. Yet the labels of hero and villain fail to encompass the true essence of what Cortes represented. He was neither a heartless executioner nor a grand idealist. He was a master of strategy, weaving intricate plans with a sharp mind, driven by an insatiable thirst for success. He crafted alliances, navigated rifts, and maneuvered his adversaries as if they were mere pawns on a grand chessboard. His journey was not merely defined by strength. It was a delicate dance of diplomacy and destruction, a masterful orchestration, of knowing when to extend a hand, when to set ablaze the sacred, and when to craft an entirely new narrative. What are the repercussions? Awe-inspiring. With the fall of the Aztec Empire, a new chapter began, one that ushered in centuries of colonial dominance, the imposition of Christianity upon millions, and the flow of vast riches from the Americas. To the shores of Europe. In that moment, a new world emerged, a realm that was neither fully European nor entirely indigenous, but rather a curious blend, a mestizo creation, hybrid and irrevocably transformed. Cortes also carved a path of unresolved scars. In Mexico, he is recalled with a mix of conflicting emotions and ire. Once, his name echoed through the streets and adorned the walls of schools, but now that legacy has faded from many places. Monuments to him stand tall, yet they frequently become cloaked in dust, adorned with graffiti, or the focal point of protest. He is the figure who introduced Spanish, Catholicism, and the grandeur of Western architecture. Yet he also stands as the one who dismantled temples, silenced languages, and obliterated entire cultures. Even his remnants spark debate. Interred, shifted, concealed, his remains, much like his tale, will not find solace in silence. Who, then, was Hernan Cortes? Victor? Harbinger of doom? Originator? Turncoat? Dreamer? Outlaw? Or perhaps something even more sinister, a man who altered the fabric of history, not due to any remarkable qualities, but because he fits seamlessly into a brutal, opportunistic era that celebrated daring individuals who seized opportunities without a moment's pause.